break-even cost. We leverage the existing tool capability without any cash outflow. We use the existing tool capability and we match the plan versus actual gap. And so this is our way forward. So we want to use all these capabilities in our future planning and operations, and we'll see how we can use this for evaluating our future projects and how we can implement this for digital twin also. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekhar. What a fine example of using, leveraging existing software tools which are available for modeling very complex real-time scenarios which we come across, and also for procurement efficiency by analyzing number of crudes very fast. So we are continuously challenged by these kind of scenarios, and it's a great example of how these things have been used. So thanks for that presentation. Our next speaker is Mr. Varun Nidhi. He is a director AI and COO of Kinben Innovation Private Limited. And Varun is going to talk about LLM powered crude oil blend yield predictions. So over to you, Varun.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in after lunch. Uh, you won't sleep in this presentation because we'll be talking about something very, very interesting. So my fellow presenter from BPCL talked about a lot of which can be done using complex methodologies. Uh, you rather opened a door for my presentation. You talked about what if we include AI in this kind of prediction. That's what we are bringing on the table. So we can even collaborate and think about how fast we can do these kind of decisions. That used to take maybe 30 days. What about we can do in 30 seconds? What used to take maybe 3 or 4 hours to do for a decision making parameter to come on board, and we can do it in 5 lakhs. So that is the power of large language models and AI I'll be talking about today. So we are well aware of market volatility these days. There are sanctions, you have spot cargoes that you can buy, you can save money in that. But that decision is very complex. Like we had on previous presentation as well, how complex that is. But what happens is you have to balance the cost with the risk that you can take with your refineries. That's where the power of AI can actually help you decide, once you train it effectively, that this is what we are going to use in our refinery, this is what our refinery is, and these are the crude blends which are available in the market. So we are well aware of quick commerce these days. You order something from a Blinkit, it arrives in 10 minutes at your home. Maybe we want something like that with our crude assistance as well. It has access to all of your data from your refinery. It has access to all of the data from the crude which is there. So what we are saying is, if we want to decide in a couple of minutes whether we can process that particular crude blend, what we have in storage, what kind of profit we'll have, that's the cost of delay that we want to counter. So that's where crude trade AI assistant comes into the picture. We call it trade AI because market actually govern the rate, and it's kind of a co-pilot. So we are aware of something like a Chat GPT or a Gemini or Microsoft Copilot for that. So that remains on our laptop. We can call it anywhere to write social media post or an email or practically everything. But a chatbot is not the only function of AI. What AI is very good at is it's able to understand the mathematics behind what's happening inside a refinery, what a crude assay is, how it needs to be processed. So it's practically an expert which knows the mathematics and physics behind the things. How we process it and use that AI, it's upon us. So we see it a very big approach in which we can utilize this function. The best part is you don't need to put your data on the internet. What if we bring that AI to your data centers, your servers, your data remains with you? That's your critical proprietary data sets. You don't want it to be exposed to. And that's why oil and gas companies have been hard step of not using something like a chat GPT for their own proprietary data sets. It's connected to the internet. This is what we want to solve. What if refinery engineers, traders, and planners could think together instantly? When building a system like this, a large language model which understands the physics, mathematics, and even the costing economics of these crudes which are processed in our refineries. So this assistant thinks about all of these people, how to enable these people to decide what to do and what not to do. And whatever they are doing, what kind of risk it pertains. How we are doing that. So when we talk about a large language model, specifically speaking about what we are doing right now for a crude AI system, starts by smart shortlisting. So let's say you are processed 350 crudes. It would know what kind of crude can be processed by your refinery because it has that information with it. Then it will start to explore what the processing functions will do, what kind of outputs you will get, what kind of yields you will get. So how you will get that? You have a lot of refinery data with you, which is a historical data. It will be trained on that, and it will run how the refinery operates. We are talking about functions that used to take years to develop. Now we are talking about deployment times that can be done within months, sometimes even couple of weeks. The third aspect is, of course, we have to tune the model to understand the mathematics, like Chevron method, Revitast equation. A lot of nonlinear equations are used for precision tuning. So just like GPT, when you use a GPT and ask it to solve a mathematical equation, it actually does the mathematics for you. So why not bring that into the table and ask AI model to do that fine tuning, that mathematical calculations for us? And the fourth step is the most, it does a confidence check on the historical data and give you a report, a final decision making report in which you can decide. All of this happens in 30 seconds, by the way. We call it blending GPS. Why GPS? There are thousands of ways to blend a crude with your current crudes which are available with you. So it moves from that noise to a final decision making parameter that you can utilize. On the screen, you can see we give some information and spews out a complete cut breakdown of that particular crude, which could be a synthetic blend, which you have never seen before. And it all happens within a minute. But we want it to be without risk. So no risk buying should be there. There are different parameters in which the risk has to be understood. Some parameters are there on the screen. The software actually analyzes more than that. So it's kind of a risk radar for refineries and plants which are actually processing a lot of these crude oils. Another functionality that we have been using, like I mentioned, Blinkit for 10 minutes delivery. Similarly, what if you get a crude oil in which the entire asset data is not available? So just like Truecaller, we get the report that if that's a spam, so spam means a crude oil you cannot process in your refinery, that will be loss function. So this Truecaller ID kind of works in a complex way in which it creates a synthetic blend for you. So for example, you provide these 5 properties, it will know these 5 properties from which region that particular crude is. And it will create a synthetic blend for you, which will have unknown crude properties as well. Like we have not mentioned nickel, vanadium, any other thing apart from these 5 properties. But the accuracy that we are getting right now is beyond 97% across these properties. How it's doing that? A complex algorithms which are powered using large language models. So we are calling it Petro GPT for the ease of understanding. Petroleum industry and GPT just like ChatGPT. So this is the scenario. It's bound to solve faster decisions that can happen within 30 seconds. It's not supposed to replace simulation packages, rather augment them. You can even feed the data from all of your simulation packages that we have heard in the last presentation as well. and create multiple scenarios within a day, maybe 1,000 scenarios within a day, so that we are even proactively ready for the next stage when it comes. So why now? First point, we know volatile markets. That's okay. Sustainability. And so when we talk about the economy of our country, we are talking about how much we can save, how much more we can produce, and how fast we can take those decisions. In the first presentation, we talked about how the schedule delays actually cost us more than it actually does. Similarly, we are talking about that's where decision making using AI systems comes into the play. You had a previous image in which we are talking about blending GPS, lot of arrows going here and there. What we are talking about is merging those arrows in which the AI assistant does not decide for us, but guide us into a one confident decision in which we can rely on that particular AI. So this is how it happens. You just define the cuts. This can be automated as well on the refinery functionality, depending on what the data or what are the processing cuts of your refinery is. You define a blend which is already there, the crude oils which are already there. So for example, here in example, Alaska North Slope is 20% by volume, which is already available, because you're never gonna process a pure crude. It will be always be a mix of things. The last step, what you're seeing is a synthetic blend which has created. So we provided 5 properties to this synthetic blend, and we tested this data on Exxonor, uh, ExxonMobil, Equinor, as well as BP crude assays with different accuracies. And when it was generating those aspects and these cut by cut breakdowns for us, we saw that we could consistently generate more than 95% accuracies for all yield predictions. Combined with this, the historical knowledge of any refinery, not only it can make your decisions much faster and accurate, but could bring you more reliance on AI, in which you can explore other areas of using AI, not just this single piece of thing. That is taking care of the refineries, the operational parameters, how it can integrate with your IoT systems, the sensors which are actually attached to it. uh, to gain more knowledge on this particular aspect, you can scan the left QR code. A simple change I wanted to bring to the industry. As Indians, we don't do lot many open source projects. So I'm sharing couple of projects to show you the power of AI, how we can utilize that. So you can scan the right QR code to have some access to some open source projects. This will jot our mind to use large language models and AI systems and bring us back to the race where other countries are way ahead of us. So economy driven through AI is the future. We have seen this with US, China, practically every country. Currently we are lagging behind, but I see an opportunity in which industry like ours, which is the core pillar of our industrial base as well as our economy, can change by using AI systems for all of our processes. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Varun. The technology is really changing the way we are going to do business. We just saw that future of how the crude oil is going to be procured. And I'm very sure that our process engineers, schedulers, traders, research people will have a lot of questions on this, and you will have to answer a lot of questions after this. But it was a very nice, interesting presentation. So next we have Mr. Naresh Kotari. He is from HPCL Greens. He's a senior manager there. And he will be presenting about rational catalyst design via DFT for JP10. So, yeah, Naresh, you're already there.
Good afternoon to all of you. So my previous speakers talked about AAR simulations in like some aspects. So what I'm going to cover to you about based on first principles. Basically, I'm from HPCL Green R&D Center. I'm going to do a case study. How did we use the kind of ab initio calculations based on physics first principles, and how did we fast track one of the important fuel that is required for our defense applications. So this is the content of my presentation. Before I jump into actual what we have done, I would like to briefly introduce to you what these kind of fuels are. This is not what we get from our refineries. And then basically, how did we use our simulations, our latest, whatever you call molecular modeling data to develop the one of the most important fuel that is required for our defense applications. So if you look at this slide, basically I have just listed out some of the so-called the synthetic fuels. Basically, if you see this RJ1 or RJ4, they're having density in terms of the 0.92 or 0.91, or even some of them having excess of 1. So when we compare with this, our standard ATF, which we have about 0.84, so that brings an additional density. So what does it mean? So it basically have more energy density or more payload capacity per liter basis. So this becomes an important factor, especially wherever kind of, there is a kind of volume limited issue. So for example, if you look at our aircraft from Indian Air Force or UAVs or maybe missiles, their tanks are kind of very small. So if you typically they use the ATF. If you can replace the ATF with these high synthetic fuels, I mean high density fuels, so we have the more energy density per liter basis, you can enhance the flight range, or you can even increase the payload. So that's the novelty that these fuels coming to the table. So if you see what are the fuels that are typically known, some of them are shown in the right hand side of the picture. If you see, all of them are kind of very naphthalene kind of structures, but instead of naphthalene, these are all like very highly strained naphthenes. Instead of naphthalene that what we have in a refinery, these are all called bicyclic systems, highly strained systems. So the strain in a molecule is actually works in favor of us. Basically, when we release the strain, what happens is we get more energy density, and because of the strain, they pack well, and this is what actually the reason for their high density. So how did we achieve this? Basically, there are many ways we can make these compounds. One is coming from the take one of our refinery building block and make them. For example, all these things are use the pyrolysis oil intermediates and then basically make this kind of products. Or alternately, we can also synthesize starting from a biosource. But again, this is also kind of a naphthalene structure. But and the third option is, if it is not possible to synthesize, let's say the synthetic fuels, the alternate way of increasing density is using metals. If you see this volume energy density versus gravimetric density, these metals are having very high energy density. So if you can blend these metals in certain proportions to the hydrocarbons, because of the density is an additive property, in overall we can increase the density of the fuel. So that brings me to the main topic that what I'm going to talk about today. So JP10 is basically a fuel used in missiles and defense applications. If you see right hand side, this is a single molecule fuel. So basically about ceton hydrocarbon, which is in the range of ATF if you see the boiling point. And this has got a pour point of -79 and a very good flash point to operate it. And compared to this jet fuels, the density is about 13 to 15% higher. That is what makes it more attractive. But why, if it is so much important, why we were not practicing in India today? The problem is currently there is no manufacturer in India in bulk scale. Though some R&D is going on in some academic institutes, but still there is no commercial production available. So this is very expensive, about $10 per kg, and that makes its a low availability both in civil as well as defense applications. As far as the defense is concerned, cost is one aspect. Another aspect is the self-reliance. So if you see how this molecule is synthesized, this molecule is actually coming from our refinery. So if you see, for example, if you take our pyrolysis oil and there is a molecule called DCPD is there, that's the structure of the first equation. This is available is in a reasonably good quantity. If you can extract that and then subject to two steps, one is hydrogenation, another is isomerization, we get the actual JP10 fuel. So what we have done, this is available in India, in otherwise is also freely available to import from the various other countries as well. So once you take this DCPD, which is actually formed from the cyclopentadiene in a Diel salt reaction, which forms an endoisomer. Endo means basically pointing towards down. So once we hydrogenate it, basically if you double bond these two double bonds, you get the endo form of it. But the challenge is this is very complex process because this reaction is highly exothermic in nature, and these molecules become the strain, they kind of open immediately if they see a sufficiently high energy density. So we have done a lot of studies and try to optimize it, and there are various factors that has taken into the development of hydrogenation catalyst. It's kind of hydrogen absorption, splitting, the compound absorption. Once we have considered all of them, and then we kind of did the in silico studies, and then the best one was taken into the laboratory practice. So this is the data, what we can see the right hand side. So with the developed catalyst at our R&D center, the conversion as well as the selectivity, this is a month's time. Basically, even up to 6 months, we are able to maintain the very good conversion, and then basically also selectivity for the product that what we need. So this is the first step. The key of the synthesis of JP10 is the second step, which is an isomerization. If you see these properties, whatever it is listed here, this is an endo, which is a C10 hydrocarbon, cyclic hydrocarbon. This is also a C10 hydrocarbon, which is an exo, and this is a basically kind of diamond-like structure called adamantane. And if you look at the freezing point or melting point, the first one is 79, minus one, the second one is minus 79, and third one is 272. If you see the variation, there is a 400-degree variation. This is a kind of fascinating aspect of this chemistry. This brings an important challenge to during the manufacturing. What happens is this is a kind of solid in nature. The moment it actually converts to, it becomes a liquid. If you don't stop here, it goes all the way there. The problem with this molecule, this molecule is exactly behave like a camphor. So if you leave it in a room, it goes and it kind of sublimes. So this creates a lot of problems, not only in the manufacturing, but also in the actual field applications. So our role is to minimize this and maximize this while achieving the conversion from endo to exo. If you look at the remarks, this is the intermediate stable compound, this is the most stable compound. So if you leave the system to evolve, obviously when I start from here, it kind of end up here. So it's very difficult to stop at this stage. That is where the tuning the required catalyst comes into picture. So obviously when we such kind of systems are there, we take the help of the simulations. So what we have done, so this is basically what we have done. We have taken some of the available knowledge at our R&D center for various other projects where we have tuned the Lewis acidity. Lewis acidity is a kind of concept where it is used extensively even in our cracking plants as well. So here we have taken we have extended the knowledge to what we call as an ionic pairs. So we have taken two kinds of ionic pairs to convert from here to here, but then to stop going to this compound. So we studied various parameters using solvent effect, and then how we can tune the combination of this one. I'm not going to go into details of these values, but what it shows is you can get these values from the simulations. Basically, we don't have to do any experiments. So what we can see here is the Luma value. Luma is nothing but how Lewis acid can tune based on the values. The more negative it is, the stronger the Lewis acid it is. So basically, you can tune it. There is values ranging from plus value to minus. So you can tune and basically based on these values, and then try to optimize to achieve the good conversion. Another aspect of looking at this data is where the Lewis acidity resides. This is basically obtained from the DFT calculations, what we call as a HOMO and LUMO orbitals. This is actually what determines the chemistry of the catalyst. Now, if you see, for example, the catalyst which is in a solvent 1, if you look at the HOMO, which is represented in blue and red color, which is on this molecule, the moment I change the solvent, it becomes this moiety. Basically, the pink one is an orange moiety. So that means the HOMO, which is not at all in aluminum, has become an aluminum just by changing the solvent. So that's the important information. So what it says is, if it is on this pink atom, you can control the acidity. If it is not on pink atom, it's very difficult to control the acidity. And same thing goes on the other catalyst as well. So by comparing this, by tuning the solvent as well as catalyst, we were able to kind of achieve the required selectivity. So this is a summary of the final synthesis. If you see the endo, which has kind of become JP10, and we have compared the commercial fuel just in comparison with how our catalyst has got worked. So this shows the purity. The commercial one has almost like 96.3, the spec is 96.2. So they basically exactly maintain it. Whereas our product, when we got this through the simulated study, I mean simulated aided synthesis, we actually got up to 99.5. That shows how actually you can kind of apply this knowledge coming from the computers to the actual field. And even if you look at the impurities also, so this is what I told, a factor in this fuel, whereas the commercial fuel is up to 1%, whereas we don't have anything. We have only little bit about endo, which is unconverted, but we have an exclusively the formation of the required fuel. So once we have done this, in fact, we have synthesized all the way from 50 grams to 300 kg. So we have done the engine testing at the DRDL lab in using a static aircraft engine. So what we can see here, basically the fuel efficiency, which was almost achieved to the almost whatever we can achieve from the theoretical calculations. So that brings me to the conclusion. So we have taken in silico studies and then applied them in both catalyst for isomerization as well as hydrogenation. So now we have done up to 300 kg, which is a relatively good scale for this kind of fuels. And then basically engine test showed the efficiency what it's supposed to have. Thank you very much for your attention.
So thank you, Naresh. You took little more time, but your topic also was quite complex. So congratulations on coming out with a very innovative catalyst, cost-effective, indigenous, and for very critical application. So moving on to the next presentation, we have Mr. Dulal Ghosh from Baker Hughes. And he'll be talking about heavy-duty gas turbines burning up to 100% hydrogen, an effort towards decarbonization in oil and gas. So, Dulal.
Good afternoon all, and thanks to CHT and Baker Hughes for giving me this opportunity to be here and present our work. So today's topic is the gas turbines that are powered with hydrogen. Why hydrogen? Which is the benefit of, let's say, burning with hydrogen? We know that hydrogen is a fuel that produces zero carbon, or let's say it's a carbon neutral fuel. We burn hydrogen, we don't get any emissions related to the carbons. And that is what the main feature of hydrogen as a fuel. So I'll go to the slide. So it's not just the turbines that Baker Hughes is able to produce that burns hydrogen. We have a long history starting from back then in 1915, starting with reciprocating compressors. There also it's able to utilize hydrogen for its compression cycle. and we have experienced more than thousands of reciprocating compressors across the world that are powered with, that are running with hydrogen-rich gases. When we say hydrogen-rich, it could be pure hydrogen, or it's a mixture of hydrogen with other fuels like natural gas. So for the gas turbines, yes, we do have a history starting from year 2009. The first power plant in Italy, it's called Fusina power plant, that was able to burn pure hydrogen, or up to 100% hydrogen. Then which is the source of hydrogen typically? Where do we get the hydrogen? We talk about hydrogen burning, but where do we get the hydrogen from? Conventionally, we know that it can be the source can be a blue hydrogen or a green hydrogen. There are some let's say differentiation between the sources where it is being produced. For example, I think in green hydrogen it is mostly from the electrolysis of water, while with blue hydrogen it is from natural gas. So depending on the sources of hydrogen, anyway, we know that there is a source, and we can try to utilize this hydrogen, which is in different frames, in different gas turbines. For Baker Hughes, we offer this varieties of turbines. You can see on the left hand side, it shows a chart where there are different turbines starting from frame 9, frame 7, even LM9000, sorry, LM6000, and some PGT machines offered by Baker Hughes. In the image that shows in this middle of this slide is the Fusina power plant I just talked about in Italy, which is a 12 megawatt plant, and it's able to run up to 100% hydrogen. The latest technology from Baker Hughes, or let's say the latest offerings from Baker Hughes, is on the right hand side. We can see it shows the greenfield application for Nova LT16. It's an indigenously developed gas turbine operating with pure hydrogen, up to 100% hydrogen by volume. Of course, it can mix with some other fuels depending on the requirement of the plant, for example, natural gas and also some heavy hydrocarbons, but mainly it is capable of burning pure hydrogen. Not only the new units like greenfield application, we do have offerings for brownfield applications with the refineries which are already existing, or the petrochemical industry which are already existing, to upgrade their gas turbines to burn with hydrogen, pure hydrogen, such as the frame 5. We have frame 5 units in India, for example, frame 5.1, the frame 5 with a single shaft, or a frame 5 with double shaft, typically called as frame 5 to C or D. Okay. So today we mostly focus on our product that is explicit for Baker Hughes. That's Nova LT16 H2. It's a trademark of Baker Hughes. Where all we can apply these turbines, we can see a list of applications starting from blue hydrogen or ammonia production to pipelines to recently catching up the data centers, which need a huge amount of power, and we are offering these turbines to power the data centers across the globe, including mostly in United States. The refineries and of course some offshore and marine applications can also use Nova LT16. What are the features of this Nova LT16, apart from the fact that we know it's able to burn hydrogen? It's a 17 megawatt, close to 16, 17 megawatt of power depending on whether it's a mechanical drive or it's a power gen application. The efficiency is compared to conventional gas turbines, it's quite high. We see it's close to 37.7% percentage efficiency. It can be used in combined cycle. It can also be used for cogeneration applications. It has the capability also to burn fuel and produce low NOx. Typically, these are called DLN combustion system, dry low NOx combustion system, because in the DLN combustion system we get a low emissions down to 15 ppm. For hydrogen, yes, the NOx emissions is a concern because, as we know, it has though it has zero carbon production, but it will induce, or let's say it will produce a lot of NOx, which are again a environmental concern. So we do have currently we have selective catalytic reactors to handle these kind of NOx emissions, or we can also we are in a phase of developing the dry low NOx system for hydrogen application, and by the end of year 2026, these technologies should be available to burn hydrogen and not producing carbon and producing very limited amount of NOx. Uh, quick startup like applications such as data centers need a very fast startup, and they can't wait for hours for the GT to reach the base load. This Novelty 16, again, it able to reach the base load, or let's say the full load in matter of minutes. Let's say it's the maximum time to reach the base load could be around 15 minutes, and there are some machines on some, let's say some Novelty 16 which can even reach base load at a shorter duration than 15 minutes. The fuel flexibility, as I spoke before, it's not only hydrogen. These turbines will be able to burn depending on the availability of the fuel. At the refinery, it can switch. It's the fuel on the fly. The machine is running and it can switch to, let's say, natural gas. If there is some cut down in the hydrogen line, then that can immediately switch to natural gas, or even a liquid fuel. It is able to operate with liquid fuel as well. Of course, in liquid fuel operation, we need to we will not guarantee the emissions because typically they run in the diffusive mode. Startup capability. These hydrogen is typically known for its flammability, for its risks of startup because of this flammability. So it can be it has to be studied thoroughly to make the system able to handle these kind of flammable gases. This machine, or let's say this Novelty 16, has been fully proven to start up with 100% hydrogen without any risk of explosion, let's say, so in the typically at the stack. Okay. It is not just on the paper. We have the machines tested. The it's called the full annual rig test, or the combustion test, the combustion system tested in Siena, Italy, back then in 2022, where it was fully instrumented, and tons of hydrogen have been burnt in the same combustor, running up to 45 plus running hours without having any, let's say, flame instability or emissions issue. Then we also tested the full engine, including not only the combustion system, but also the compressors, the turbines in the full, it's called the FETT, full engine test. that happens in Florence, Italy, sorry, a few years back. And it was successful. It was a test that gave confidence to the customers. In fact, after this test, we have delivered a few machines for a company in Canada that is able to burn 100% hydrogen. Right now, the plant is in operation as well. Yeah. As we speak, that hydrogen is a flammable fuel, we need to also take care not only of the combustion system, but also the packages and auxiliaries, the downstream components of the gas turbine. The ventilation system, the purging requirement, the fire and gas system, the electrical devices, the control system, all has to be studied for a hydrogen application, different than a natural gas application of gas turbine. And even then, these studies has been performed and has been implemented in the real projects that we already have delivered, like I said, few units to a customer in Canada. Okay. So to wrap up on the novelty 16, we know that hydrogen we know how to burn hydrogen, or let's say we have the available technology to burn it. We are working with world leaders to produce this hydrogen at a lower cost and make it more uh, friendly for the customers, even in terms of cost. And at the end, to achieve a zero carbon mission for the different customers, whether it is refining or petrochemicals. Uh, we do have a short video. I don't know if it is we can play, but I will quickly go through the. Okay, we started the discussion with Nova LT16, and we do have another machine which is a heavy-duty gas turbine, which is able to produce up to 26.9 megawatt electricals. That's called Frame 5, and we have the solution operating up to 88% as a volume of hydrogen, and we in fact have a customer interest coming from Italy again to upgrade their existing gas turbine to run 100% hydrogen for Frame 5. These are the development phases. Back then, in 1980, we have the technology. We have been upgrading it for different applications and to burn more and more hydrogen. Now we are at a level of 88% as a volume of hydrogen. Similar challenges as we have seen for the Novelty 16 are applicable here, and also the different applications we see for these kind of frames. Okay. At the end, we at Baker Hughes can help to achieve your decarbonization mission in the refineries or petrochemical industry. And please get in touch with us if you are interested for decarbonization of your plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Zilal. The way we anticipate hydrogen prices to drop down, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of requirement for these kind of equipment. So moving on to the last paper of this session, I call upon Mr. Manish Saraswat from Leondel, Basel. He'll be delivering his paper on advancement in polyolefinic catalyst and process innovation.
I think you have to go back to the slide.
Start from the first one. Yeah, that's fine. So good afternoon, and my apology because I have traveled overseas. I want to talk to you, so that's why I would like to stay here. So I won't stay behind this board. So here, so this we are talking about our company. So I think there is a one slide back. Yeah, this slide is very important. My legal department loves this slide. That before you make any financial decision based on my slides, please read it carefully. So this slide is the most important slide in my presentation. So time is short, so just a brief of the organization. So other than the polymer business, so before we talk or go in my presentation, so it is little bit different than this audience because all the day we were hearing about the refinery, but this I am talking about the further downstream, that is the polyolefin business. So the refineries are seeing now these plants coming next to their plants. So either production of polypropylene or production of polyethylene. This is our DNA. So we start our business from the chemistry of invention of polypropylene molecule. And still in our laboratory, we have that reactor where first time industrial polypropylene molecule was made. So it is still there, and that has happened somewhere in 1954. And since then, we keep on developing new technologies. So after that, in 1955, we developed a hostylene technology for the production of SDP. And then simultaneously, you can see in this slide that we keep on continuously developing new technologies. So somewhere in 1982, we developed this technology, spheripol, for the polypropylene. And India, most of these plants are based on this spheripol. Not only in India, they worldwide. More than 110 lines are out of spheripol worldwide. And this is the technology which is widely used for the production of polypropylene. Yesterday, I was in the diaspora meeting with the honorable minister, and I proposed that what I see that in India we are having a lot of PP production, but most of that is commodity production because we are not moving for the advanced technologies. So after this 1982, we developed a further technology that is catalloy technology, and that was for the production of advanced polypropylene that is currently being 100% imported in India. And after that, we further in 2002 developed another latest technology for the polypropylene, and that was for spherizone. So as on date, the latest technology for the production of polypropylene is spherizone, and for polyethylene, it is hyperzone. And we are running those plants continuously in our plants, and we are licensing also. The beauty is, as a technology supplier, we are not only producing the catalyst, we are also inventing these process technologies. We are also providing the post-licensing support, and we are running these plants. So the beauty is that we know actually what is happening at our customer end. And that's how the way we are developing this, we understand this, we also understand that where shoe is pinching in the customer end. So this is the beauty. And this is a unique combination, and you will not find with any other company. And this is just a brief introduction that I don't want to, you can read, you will be getting these slides. So we feel very humble to share these numbers that in global polyolefin technology, we are the world leader. In the global polypropylene licensing, we are the world leader. In polypropylene catalyst, again, we are the world leader. We are very humble to share that. But there's a lot of hard work behind this, lot of hard work, generations. And this is what this slide will give you an idea that how we develop these advanced products, how we bring new catalyst so that the industry can produce better product to help the society. So this is the phthalate catalyst which was being used since ages. And I think now it's a time to rest. Because phthalate has been categorized as reproduction mutagenic, and then it is not helping with the health of the people who come in contact with that. So now we are moving, and now in Europe actually we have already moved from phthalate catalyst PP production to 100% non-phthalate based PP production. And there are certain advantages also. So if we try to see that spunbond grade, which is produced, so during COVID time, everyone was using those masks. So the best type of such grade can be produced by using a non-phthalate based polypropylene. And this is, say, diether catalyst, which is used best for that. And for the transparency, for the reactor grade high MFR product. So these are the advantages of using these advanced non-phthalate based catalysts. So these equipment we are using, everyone is using in the house daily basis. But there are certain type of a polymer used which can be produced only by using this type of catalyst. And that is the edge. That is the edge. Here, the key message out of the catalyst development is that we are launching for the Indian market this metosine catalyst. And the beauty is that in the polymer reaction is taking place everywhere. So we cannot control exactly like a inorganic chemistry reaction. But so then we are getting molecules which are not desired also. But in the metosine catalyst, we get exactly what we need. And that is the beauty. And that's how we get a pure, clean product. So if we are talking about the clean product for the medical applications, for hygiene, for doctor's gown, for the surgery, then it has to come from the metosine-based catalyst actually. Typical applications where is a kind of a boxing, and then if there is a warpage, which is one of the phenomena that the plastic components get deformed, then there is a problem. But in this metosine catalyst, that is the minimum. So, but I will not go in those details. And we have further catalysts for the polyethylene as well, and we are having a huge demand of these products, so that's why we keep on expanding. So we are expanding in US, in Germany, and we have a multi-location. So we can supply from any part of the world. I'm moving in because time is short, so now I'm moving on the technology part of. So as we said that we have for PP, Spheripol, and in Spheripol, we are offering this metosine PP catalyst option for the existing Spheripol and for the future new Spheripol lines. And this metosine catalyst can also be used in other third-party technologies. So it's not only that it can be used only in a Spheripol, it can be used in the other technologies as well. Spheripol, I have already talked a lot. The beauty is in the metosine catalyst, typically for the melt-blown type of a grade, we can produce a product up to 2,300 MFR reactor. So normally industry produce those kind of grade by using peroxide, but this residual of peroxide contaminate that polymer. And then we lose that cleanliness of the product. And by using this metosine catalyst, we can produce up to 2,300 MFR, and that performance on your customer's line is perfect. So then, if we are talking about the textile lines like Recofill 4, so then the performance of metosine-based polypropylene product is fantastic. This is the latest Spherizone PP technology. And in this technology, we have a combination. So we can, so currently, industry is using only, say, propylene and ethylene as a comonomer. Here we can use multi-monomers. So, and then it gives the strength to this product that this product can replace the conventional polymers. So not only the conventional PP, but the conventional other polymers. So if we are comparing PP to PP, so if a product is produced by any other technology, if we are producing the similar product here, we can reduce the grammage of the polymer in the same application. And why are we able to do that? Because the technology, the process technology is built in the strength in the product in a way that it doesn't need so much polymer amount to give the similar strength versus existing polymer. So polymer is the same, but the beauty of the process technology, that the kind of homogenization it brings. So like if you see there are two loops, so one reactor, one loop. So but in the one side of the in the riser side, one type of reaction is taking place, but on the downer side another type of reaction is taking place. So for you, it will look like a one reactor, but with switch of a button, this reactor gets divided into the two reactors. And that is the beauty. And that gives the process advantage to bring and to develop the product which performs better. And that's why we need a lower grammage of the product. And the next one is for LDP. And LDP, we have both type of technologies, the reactor one and the tubular technologies. The third one, and that is for Hostylene. So Hostylene, we have a few plants in India, but the beauty comes from the 3-reactor ACP technology. And what happens normally in, there are typical type of properties. So if we are increasing density, then some other property like ESCR is reducing. But in ACP technology, we can increase both the type of properties similarly together up, and that is the advantage. So like P100 pipe grade, which is used for the water transportation, can be produced by using this ACP technology. So with this, the key message is that we are continuously developing, bringing new technologies, new catalysts for polymerization, and I'm always available for your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Saraswat, for almost making it.
Yeah.
So now I'll hand over to Mr. Prasad Patika, session chair, to take it forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all the 6 presenters. Very good, extremely very good presentations. I need not summarize because he was summarizing immediately after that. And there is always a time constraint, but I suggest that we can have a couple of questions.
Yes,
okay.
Indeed, sir. We can accommodate a
Okay.
question or two.
Yeah.
So we've decided to do this organically. So any questions at all, show of hands and we'll pass the mic.
Yeah, please start. We have got somebody has to start.
Do you have a question, sir? Can you please pass a mic? Can you pass a mic, please? All right, let me come down to you.
This question is to Baker Hughes, Mr. Ghosh, regarding the gas turbines using hydrogen as a fuel. What is the reason I should go for the gas turbine with a hydrogen, number one? How does it look economics wise? 3, is it only from net zero decarbonization perspective or is there any other advantage?
Hi, thanks for your question. Okay, so first of all, I'll try to answer your first one. Why hydrogen? As I started the presentation, that hydrogen is something that is producing power without any carbon. It's a carbon neutral fuel. We know that customers, when they produce carbons in their plants, they are penalized. It's called carbon taxation. But with hydrogen, there is no possibility of producing carbon, and that's why it's a carbon neutral fuel. Sorry, and if I can ask you a second question.
How does it look in terms of cost economics?
Okay. I would say the performance and efficiency for a plant or gas turbine operating with hydrogen is at par with the natural gas operating gas turbine. The production of hydrogen, yes, that remains a challenge in some cases, depending on the locality of the plant. For example, we have a blue hydrogen there, which is produced from natural gas or is a byproduct of some other refineries. We can utilize those hydrogen in our plant. In that cases, it makes more cost effective solution. Yes, but the challenge remains in the cost of production of hydrogen, and we are still working with the world leaders to bring down the cost drastically and make it a more financially appealing solution.
The third part of the question is the decarbonization efforts. Any carbon credits can be claimed on account of this initiative?
Sorry?
Any carbon credits can be claimed as a part of this initiative?
I suppose so, because the production of carbon is almost zero, basically zero. So I think they should be getting some credits out of that. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. I think another question, perhaps. One more. Any questions at all? Show of hands and we'll pass the mic. All right. Looks like.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Please introduce yourself. And
Yeah, my question is to Mr. Prabhakar. So you have shown a schedule slip of 24% for the projects. Do you have any analysis for the reasons for that slip of schedule? Like you have said, workforce requirement, statutory approvals. I mean, what is the analysis for that slip?
Good question. The slip mentioned there is start of detail engineering to mechanical completion. So not from the part of planning side, like all these statutory permits and everything should have been collected beforehand. So typically it should be part of your front end or project definition before DFR. You should have collected all those things. So that's not included in that part. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prakar. And that's all the time we have. Thank you so much. First of all, I think this panel deserves a big round of applause. A mega one of that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. With that, Mr. Prasad Panikar, may I please request you to kindly step forward and present a memento as a token of appreciation to our eminent speakers here on stage. Starting with Mr. Manoj Prabhakar. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable contribution to this fantastic panel. Please keep the applause coming, ladies and gentlemen. We truly have to celebrate the excellence that we've just witnessed in this session. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shekhar Gunwal, for being a part of the panel and sharing your valuable insights. Please keep the applause coming. It's a gentle reminder for us to celebrate all the insights we received as well. And the only way to do it is by applauding and telling them that we are thankful. Varun Nidhi, thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the panel and sharing those great inputs with us. And thank you, Mr. Panikar. And now request Mr. Abhay Singh Bandari to step forward and present a memento to our speaker, Mr. Naresh Kothari. Thank you, sir. I do not hear an applause at all. I'll give you some good news. We are going to take a break. High tea will be served shortly. That sparks some excitement, I see. Thank you so much. Mr. Bilal Ghosh, thank you for your phenomenal presentation. Thank you for sharing those valuable insights with us. Keep it coming, ladies and gentlemen. The only way to celebrate excellence is by applauding, is what I truly believe. Let's thank our speakers. Last but not least, Mr. Manish Saraswat, thank you so much for that powerful presentation. And I request Mr. R. Ramachandran, Executive Director, Refinery, BPCL, to join us on stage and present a memento to our chairpersons for ably moderating the sessions. Thank you so much. And one to Mr. Abhay Singh Mandari. Thank you so much, sir. And now, gentlemen, costs a moment to commemorate. May I please request you all to step forward? So please join them for a picture. What a fantastic session this has been, ladies and gentlemen. And if you are in agreement with me, the only way that you can tell me yes is by applauding. Thank you so much. A collective round of applause celebrating the brilliant minds here on stage. While we take a picture, of course, a memory for a lifetime. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you all that the next session will commence at 4:15 p.m. I repeat, 4:15 p.m. The next session will commence at 4:15 p.m., which means it's time for us to break for some tea, from refreshments. Please head to Hall 4, enjoy some refreshments, and come back so we can have the last session of the ETM 2025 Day 2. This is Day 2 of Energy Technology Meet 2025. Thank you so much for being a part of all these sessions. Day 2 equally successful. We've got one more technical session which will commence at 4:15 p.m. I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much. welcome back everybody. Please settle down. We are going to start the session in the next 1 minute's time. In the next 60 seconds, we will resume the session post-break, but now requesting everyone to settle down. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, people in the pre-function area, requesting you all to join us. We are about to start the last technical session of the day. Requesting everyone to come join us back, please. And all the speakers are requested to step forward and occupy the front row. We are ready for the last session, the technical session 10. If you're looking to be a part of technical session 11, it's happening in the adjacent hall, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, in the next 30 seconds, we are going to start technical session number 10 right here in hall A. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Energy Technology Meet 2025, the 28th edition, and here we are on day 2. It's time for the last technical session for the day. And I take this opportunity to invite the speakers. But before that, the topic of discussion for this technical session is going to be sustainable aviation fuel. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our chairpersons to the stage. Please put your hands together as I welcome Dr. R.K. Malhotra, President HAI, to the stage. Welcome, sir. His areas of interest: energy transition, biofuels, hydrogen and environment. His achievements, to name a few: awards and recognitions including Lifetime Achievement Awards from Society of Automotive Engineers, the National Lubricant Grease Institute, Society of Coulson Engineers, and IIT BHU Alumni Award for Excellence in R&D, Rudolph Ellen Award from International Association of Hydrogen, Energy, etc. He's right here with us. Dr. R.K. Malhotra, a big round of applause as we welcome him. Joining him on stage is Mr. Siddharth Jain, VP Emarat. May I please request his presence on stage? His areas of interest, ladies and gentlemen: sustainable aviation fuel development and deployment, circular economy and waste-to-X solutions, project economics and low-carbon transition, global energy partnerships and policy advocacies. Achievements, to name a few: led feasibility studies for MSW to SAF projects, co-processing renewable feedstocks and power-to-liquid pilot initiatives, negotiated global SAF off-take agreements and strategic technology partnerships, championing Superstep Clean Technology project to recover premium base oils and ultra-low sulfur diesel from used motor oils without hazardous waste streams. And of course, the recipient of Falcon of the Year Award for the year 2013, 2016, and 2018 for business development and cost optimization. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, Mr. Siddharth Jain. Welcome, gentlemen. The discussion, as I said, is going to be on topic sustainable aviation fuels, and now take the opportunity to welcome our eminent speakers to the stage. Please put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Shaktivelan Durai from Honeywell UOP. Welcome, sir. We can do better with the applause, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last session, but let's keep the energy really high. Put your hands together for Mr. Craig Harris from Velocis Inc. Welcome, sir. Welcoming Mr. Raju Chopra and Manish Das from Topso. Welcome, gentlemen. Put your hands together for Mr. Soumitra Deshmukh from Sulzer Chemtech USA. Welcome, sir. Joining them on stage is Mr. Vishal Vashni from Lamas. A round of applause, please. Last but not the least, Dr. Palak Tuvar from Visolis, joining the esteemed speakers on stage. Welcome, everybody. Although this is the last session for the day, I'm sure it's going to be extremely insightful and very informative. With that, gentlemen, sir, over to you.
So very good evening to all my panelists, my co-chair. Uh, this is, as she said, is the last session. I was wondering whether there will be sufficient audience, but I am glad that there are quite a few number of people, if not full house, because of the interest perhaps they have in this subject of sustainable aviation fuel. This is one thing which we know is required for decarbonizing the aviation sector. I was looking at the figure at how much is the CO2 contribution by the aviation sector globally. The total is about 2.5%, which I found is the global CO2 contribution from the aviation sector. And the International Civil Aviation authorities want that this should be brought down to nearly zero by 2050, which is a Herculean task and perhaps the only route to decarbonize the aviation sector while using the existing type of aviation engines, unless we have some innovative developments around that. And I was wondering that hydrogen possibly could be used only for the auxiliary equipment and not, although hydrogen is being tried for drones, etc. Maybe in future we'll have, but right now the possibilities look like that we may have some of the auxiliary systems working on hydrogen for decarbonization. And the main fuel will be the sustainable aviation fuel, which may come from whether the hydro-processed Eastern Facies HEFA route, or maybe the Fischer-Tropsch route, or maybe the alcohol to jet, or finally the CO2 plus green hydrogen route could also be possible. So we have some eminent people from various organizations who are experts in their own fields, and they are going to share a lot of good, technologies which they are working on in these areas. As you know, it was shown also that in the inaugural session, or when the minister was here, that the India has a target of going to using 1% of SAF by 2027, then 2% by 2028, and then 5% by 2030. So this will require a lot of efforts. The SAF demand in India is current about 9 million tons, and then, the aviation fuel. And if you have 1%, you can work out, and then maybe the total consumption of aviation fuel will go up. So more and more SAF will be required in terms of the percentage also. So with these few opening remarks, I request my co-chair to take forward the session and invite the respective speakers to share their technology thoughts. And I will maybe try to say a few words at the end of this session. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Malhotra. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to today's session on the SAF. SAF is like going to be the only source for decarbonization of aviation in mid to long term. So I look forward to welcoming you to this session and have your feedback and question and answer at the end of the session. So for the benefit of the speakers, we have 12 to 15 minutes for your presentation and Q&A at the end of the session. So thank you, everybody. So I would like to invite Mr. S. Durai from Honeywell UAP for presenting his paper on innovative paths for cleaner sky. For everybody, I just like to mention that Honeywell has been the pioneer on SAF with the first commercial SAF plant from World Fuels in USA. So welcome, Mr. Durai.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start with the presentation, I would like to thank CHT and BPCL for providing us this opportunity to represent Honeywell UOP's SAF portfolio of solutions. Okay. Before I get into the actual presentation, this is just a cautionary words from our lawyers that there could be a few forward-looking statements in my presentation. Before you make any investment decisions or any commercial decisions per se, please do your own due diligence and feel free to contact UOP, Honeywell UOP for any further guidance. Okay. My broad agenda for today's discussion, I would like to start with Honeywell UOP's portfolio of offering on the SAF space, particularly on the renewable fuels, and we'll go for a deeper dive into Fischer-Tropsch pathway for SAF production, and a very high-level overview on what different parameters one would look at before choosing a particular pathway for SAF production. And I will also talk about the grand collaboration of two industry leaders, which is going to ultimately benefit the end users, the customers here. So before we start into the SAF technology part, let's have a quick walkthrough on why this particular subject is of so importance now. As both our chairs, the chair and the co-chair, talked about it, this is kind of we would say more of a significant topic for today, just because if you look at this from a global perspective, what are the things which is driving the SAF market in itself, right? On the shorter term, say for example, till 2030, we believe the government incentives and mandates pretty much, I would say, a Western phenomena based on US, Europe, and UK. So these government incentives and mandates is going to drive the market. And on top of it, corporate commitments towards GHG reduction. So this is the other big parameter which is influencing this market on SAF. However, this is for short term. If you were to look at it on a longer term perspective, and that is where I wanted you to I wanted you to focus on the chart that is on the right side, right? So this is kind of what UOP per se projects as a global SAF demand. What we see today in 2025 as a very small market is expected to grow as high as 35,000 kilobarrels a day. Okay, so this is a kind of a market that we are talking about. In terms of metric tons, so this is about 150,000 kilometric tons. So there is a huge market which is developing, but we wanted to encash this particular market, right? And the other near-term challenge that we are seeing is, today whenever we talk about SAF, it is pretty much limited to FOGs, right? Through the HEFA pathway. And at max, it goes to the next level of ethanol to convert it into jet. But are these the sustainable feedstocks that is going us to take all the way, say 2030 and beyond? Probably not. We'll be either limited on the feed source, or the regulations would limit us from using these feedstocks for further use for SAF production or the jet fuel production. Okay, just changing gears. If you were to look at this from an Indian scenario, whatever we are showing here is coming from Deloitte's report. So what we see here is, in India, today's market, from an ATF production perspective, 50% of ATF is being exported, which constitutes about 3% of the global demand for SAF. Okay, sorry, it is not SAF, it is ATF today. So this is about 3% of the global demand. And if we were to project this with whatever our chair just now pointed out, and also Honorable Minister yesterday pointed, like if we were to go with a 5% indicative blending by 2030, this translates to easily 80 KMTA of SAF requirement in Indian market. But if we were to just focus on this particular market, we are playing in a much smaller domain, I would say. So the way that we are looking at Indian producers in this case is why India is not a producer for a world on the SAF front. There are two big drivers why India can invest more on the SAF production. Number one, we can be very easily cost competitive if we were to compare against our APAC competitors, okay? This is very well proven on the green hydrogen front. So there is no brainer that even in the SAF space, India is going to lead in terms of cash cost of production. So this is one of the biggest levers that we have. And if you were to extend this further, the proximity to the major hub of European Union is going to help us a lot in the global play on SAF. So with this demand, what we wanted you to look at is a complete portfolio of solution that Honeywell UOP can offer in this space, okay? So to begin with, The first and the foremost, which is readily being off-taken in the industry right now, is the HEFA pathway, which uses FOGs, basically fatty acids, oils, and greases. So any of these feeds can be processed through UOP's eco-fining process or the UOP renewable jet fuel process to make SAF. And if you want to use existing refinery assets, we can always go for co-processing, either through a hydrocracking pathway, which is UOP's union fining or unicracking pathway, or we can take it through the FCC pathway. Both of these routes will help us produce partially renewable fuel. It could be the kerosene or it could be the diesel. Okay. Leaving all this, if we were to go into the next gen market, so that is where biomass, MSW, and ultimately the CO2. So these being feedstock, these being used as feedstock is going to drive the market beyond 2030 and 2040s. So for addressing these particular feedstock, UOP have our own technology on RTP, which is a pyrolysis process, which could be the pyrolysis oil produced will be upgraded using hydrotreating to produce SAF, or else the two niche pathways. Either we can go with methanol pathway. In this particular pathway, any of those feed material, be it biomass, MSW, or the carbon dioxide, is going to be converted into an intermediary methanol, and this methanol will ultimately be converted into SAF. And the competing pathway for this is the Fischer-Tropsch pathway. So the same feed material could be converted into an FT crude and then upgraded into SAF-rich material. So for both these processes or both these pathways, UOP does offer our e-fining process for methanol to jet conversion and Fischer-Tropsch with FT unicracking process for the Fischer-Tropsch pathway. And on the ethanol space, UOP does have our ethanol to jet process, which would convert the ethanol into SAF-rich material. So this is a complete gamut of process technologies which UOP offer in the SAF space. Now, I will take you a bit more deeper into the Fischer-Tropsch pathway, right? So this is how an overall complex of a Fischer-Tropsch pathway would look like. So be it any feed, be it waste biomass, municipal solid waste, or gas, biogas, landfill gas, CO2, the first and the foremost step is we need to convert this into a synthesis gas, right? So generating syngas is the first step. And depending upon the feed that we are processing, the quantity of contaminants that will be in this syngas varies, and hence this needs further treatment to remove all those contaminants. Once the syngas is conditioned, now we will pass this through a Fischer-Tropsch building block, which is going to convert this syngas material into a Fischer-Tropsch crude, and ultimately this Fischer-Tropsch crude has to be cracked back to put all the molecules in the right space, which is less than C18 range molecules, to meet the ultimate SAF product requirement. Right, and the another major advantage of this particular process is this gives a flexibility either for us to operate the unit in SAF mode, or if there is a need, we could do diesel production, and if there is a need, we can also do base oil production. So this is a very high level overview on the SAF pathway, and from there, if we were to move into UOP's particular offering, so UOP has FT unicracking technology, which takes in feed from the Fischer-Tropsch process, which is nothing but the FT liquids and waxes. So this material would need to be cracked, as I said, to less than C18 range material. The unfortunate problem, and which presents a bigger opportunity, is this. The FT material is highly paraffinic, and once we crack it, yes, very good material to meet the ATF range, but the problem is this will not meet the freeze point requirement. And hence we need to go for the isomerization step. So together with hydrocracking and isomerization, we would ultimately meet the SAF product specification as per ASTM D7566, right? Like any other cracking process, this cracking process would also generate, I would say, byproducts, the off gases and naphtha. If there is an offtake, well and good. So this can be sold in the market, but primarily we would aim to reduce this particular byproduct material. And in the eventual scenario where we will be left with some amount of this byproduct material, that is where we talk about the carbon efficiency, okay? So the moment this naphtha and off gases are let out of the process, that much amount of carbon is lost, not in the form of SAF. So the carbon efficiency of the process is going to be less. So during this scenario, we would try to integrate all this byproduct carbon material back through a recycle reforming and generate more syngas. And ultimately, if you look at a SAF complex, with all different feed material that we start with, will ultimately make just one product, which is SAF, going out of the unit. So this means eventually my overall process carbon efficiency is going to be very high in the order of 90 to 95%. Okay, so that is one of the biggest asserts and advantage of this particular pathway. Okay, so having talked about the technology in itself, yes, people, everybody in this hall will know that these are technologies which is there in the chemical engineering domain for many, many years. However, the systems and the market and the industry has progressed far ahead. These are not just the paper technologies. People have started investing in it. So this is just a glimpse of what UOP has done in this particular domain. We have 3 distinct customers and 3 distinct licenses sold in the recent past, in the last 2 years. So we have one unit, DG Fuels in USA, who are converting biomass material through gasification route and taking the FT pathway to produce SAF, and it is a 13,000 barrels a day unit. And a much smaller unit in Uruguay. So in here, it is a reforming pathway combined with FT to take it into SAF. Basically, the feed here is a biogas coming from dairy farm. Okay? And the third distinct license that UOP has sold is for USA Bioenergy. So this is once again a gasification pathway and FT to take it into SAF. And this is a 4,700 barrels a day unit. So these are just some examples which we wanted to quote you that this market is actually progressing. But before we get into selection of particular pathway, we wanted you to be aware it is not just a single pathway. There are multiple competing pathways available in the industry, right? So one comparable technology or comparable pathway to Fischer-Tropsch is methanol. So each one of these pathway has its own unique advantages, and we need to do this detailed analysis before we settle on a particular pathway for our ultimate project. So just to quote one example, if you were to look at ESAF, probably the methanol pathway is better. But if you want to do a biosaf, then Fischer-Tropsch pathway would be better. Okay? And if you want to adopt a hub and spoke model, because these are pathways which is dependent on the feed source, which is not available readily in single source. So we need to collect it from multiple sources. So depending upon our feed source availability and the location, we can go for a hub and spoke model. And in such hub and spoke model, what is our giveaway? Maybe a methanol pathway is better, but the giveaway is how much my capex and opex and ultimately cash cost of production is going to be. So this is a parameter which need to be evaluated before we settle on a particular pathway. And also the product flexibility. Should I just focus on SAF, or should we have the flexibility of going for a base oil as well? So if we have product flexibility requirement, then a particular pathway is suited better. Okay, and with all this background, I just wanted you to introduce, and this is my last slide, sir. We have an industry collaboration between Honeywell UOP and Johnson Matthey. This is a non-exclusive collaboration where we are working together to ease the burden of the ultimate end user here, people like you, the customers, the refiners. So the people who involved in project development knows this very well. It is not a simple task to coordinate with multiple licenses to get the project going. So from that perspective, UOP and Johnson Matthey has joined hands together, and we are offering end-to-end solution right from a syngas production all the way either through methanol pathway or the Fischer-Tropsch pathway for the production of SAF. So we have Johnson Matthey's FT cans technology, which is the Fischer-Tropsch technology, and UOP's FT unicracking for upgrading the Fischer-Tropsch crude into the SAF range material. And if we were to start with CO2 as our feed material, Johnson Matthey's Hycogen technology along with FT cans technology would help us together with UOP's FT unicracking. And if we were to talk about the methanol pathway, yes, once again, Johnson Matthey's Emerald technology with UOP's e-fining process will help us meet the end product requirement. So the key takeaway here is we are trying to provide you with a single stop solution. It all depends on what feed you have and what is the market product target requirement that you wanted to target. Based on that, we can help you with evaluating the multiple pathways and settling on the best pathway that is suited for each and individual customer. By this, we don't want to be technology. We certainly want to be technology agnostic. We can evaluate everything for you and come up with the best solution that suits your requirement. And thank you very much for your time and listening.
Thank you, Mr. Durai. That was a very insightful presentation. And very futuristic pathways for the SAF community. Thank you so much. Now I invite Mr. Craig Harris from Velocis for his presentation on meeting SAF demand from waste to SAF and e-production. So please welcome Mr. Wiggs.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Craig Harris. I'm lead technical sales for Velocis, an advanced Fischer-Tropsch licensing provider. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic which is at the intersection of the climate, innovation, and aviation growth. I'm going to touch a little bit on the current SAF opportunity in India, look at various pathways, and then look how Velocis is uniquely positioned to help India meet its goals of building a scalable, sustainable aviation sector. So, as mentioned by the previous speaker, India has aligned itself with some realistic goals to produce 1% of SAF for international flights by 2027, increasing to 5% by 2030. All of this is aligned with the overall framework in India to achieve self-reliance in 2047 and net zero by 2070. Currently, market is dominated by HEFA. This is largely due to HEFA projects having an acceptable technology risk to investors. This is because HEFA uses mature technologies that already exist in refining and adapting them to the production of SAF via HEFA, and HEFA projects are profitable. However, as you can see here, the HEFA demand, it builds and dominates the market between now and 2030. But from 2030 to 2035, the demand anticipated for SAF globally falls short by 23 million tons per year. And so this gap needs to be addressed by second generation SAF pathways such as Fischer-Tropsch. As these projects take a long time to develop, so we're now at 2025 moving into 2026, these projects need to be starting to move through the feasibility stages now. We cannot wait until 2030 in order to meet this demand. So India has huge potential for SAF with abundance of available feedstock that can be converted to SAF. So you've got 750 million tons of biomass available, 230 million tons of surplus agricultural residue. Indigenous SAF has been explored already with the use in sugarcane, molasses, bagasse, and maize. The estimated SAF potential in India is in excess of 19 to 24 million tons per year. So as you can see, there's a huge opportunity here. I just want to highlight where Fischer-Tropsch fits into the production of SAF. So on this slide, you can see there's three main pathways. So at the top there, we have biogas to fuels. So in the biogas to fuels, you take a sustainably generated biogas, for example, landfill gas, which is cleaned up. That is then reformed into synthesis gas, so a combination of CO and H2, which needs to then be conditioned to meet the spec of a roughly 2-to-1 ratio of hydrogen to CO for the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis path. The synthesis gas is then reformed into Fischer-Tropsch liquids, which are then upgraded to SAF by cracking and isomerization. Second to that, we have the solid waste pathway. In this pathway, you take solid waste, which is then gasified at high temperatures to produce syngas. This requires some cleanup to get it on spec, such as the removal of contaminants and adjustment of the hydrogen to CO ratio. This again leads into the same downstream processing through the FT synthesis and then product upgrading. And then finally, you have PTL. And PTL uses green electrons to produce hydrogen from the electrolysis of water. This is then combined with CO formed from the conversion of CO2 from biogenic sources into CO. which is then again generated into Fischer-Tropsch liquids through the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis process. I just want to touch a little bit on the comparable pathway of alcohol to jet, and just highlight how that pathway is formed and what processes are involved. What you'll see on the right there is what everyone sees as the traditional A to J process, showing the dehydration, the agglomerization, hydrogenation, fractionation from alcohols into SAF. But I just want to highlight that that is not the only pathway. The only process required. You need to generate the ethanol originally. So as you can see on the left there, there's many different processes. So for example, gasification, catalytic conversion, reforming, and methanol synthesis, all required there to produce the alcohol required on the A to J route. So I just want to highlight that it's not just the A to J process. This process takes as many, if not more, processes than the FT pathway. So another advantage of the FT is that it's already a proven and the screen's not. Sorry, my screen's updating here, but that one's not.
Can somebody come and help us?
Just a moment, so we'll get someone to.
Okay.
Sorry for a small tech glitch. Hope we resort it soon.
Okay. I just wanted to highlight that FT is an already approved and certified fuel, unlike some other pathways which are still pending their certification. Now moving on to how Velocis can help. So Velocis is the combination of two companies. So it was formed from Oxford Catalysts, an Oxford University spin-out that had a superactive catalyst, and Velocis, a reactor supplier that had a reactor with high heat removal microchannel reactor. These two combined to form a reactor that was able to utilize the superactive catalyst with the high heat removal to form a compact chemistry and lower the costs. Velocis' micro FTL solution includes everything required for project developers: an FT license, a process design package, proprietary catalysts, automated controls, and FT island design services. You'll see here in the center of the picture, we've got what's at the center of the process is the Velocis microchannel reactor. This takes syngas, converts it into Fischer-Tropsch liquids, which is then separated to remove the tails gas such that it can be recirculated to improve the efficiency of the unit. There are three distinct differentiators for Velocis: a superactive catalyst, which delivers more yield for a smaller throughput and superior economics; proven FT technology, which delivers the highest TRL in the renewable fuel space; and standard reactors and modular design, which reduce project costs, risks, and delivery times. For superactive catalyst, so what does this mean? This means that Velocity's reactors are many times more productive than comparable conventional fixed bed and slurry bed reactors. This enables greater yields for less catalysts, less space, and ultimately reduces footprint and capex costs while still delivering superior production. Velocity's high single pass conversion allows us to have industry-leading overall CO conversion across our units of over 96%. What this means is that for the same syngas feed, we produce more FT liquids, thus reducing the need for expensive recycles to convert unconverted CO and methane into additional syngas. This enables us to convert more of the carbon monoxide into precious C5+ liquids. And this delivers a potential for increased revenue and greater MPV in the order of 10 to 50%. Micro FTL technology is piloted, proven, and commercial. We have over 300,000 hours of on-stream lab testing. This is equivalent of 34+ years of lab runs. Additionally to that, we've piloted our plant, integrated it under harsh conditions, receiving syngas from a gasifier, enabling us to test our reactors in harsh conditions and to prove its resilience to varying feeds. And finally, we were able to demonstrate our technology on commercial scale on the NVIDIA Energy Oklahoma plant, which was a landfill gas to fuels plant, which utilized 2 of Velocity's commercial reactors, producing 250 barrels per day of renewable fuel production and 6,000+ hours of cumulative operation across 2 commercial scale reactors. We were also involved in a demonstration in coordination with Toyo and Nido in Japan, in which our fuel generated from our unit formed part of the first commercial flight using SAF from wood chips in 2021 between Tokyo and Sapporo. The microchannel reactor scales up using a proven strategy. From the lab through to the pilot and the commercial, we use the same dimensions. What that means is that the results gained during our lab testing and through the demos are very representative for the commercial scale, and it scales up in a linear and predictable fashion, reducing risk. What you can see here is our commercial size reactor. It's formed by 4 cores of alternating process and cooling channels. In the process channel, we have our catalyst packed in there where syngas flows down and out the bottom flows FT liquids. This is cooled by microchannels where boiler feed water is fed through and partially vaporized to remove the heat. This intimate design allows us to reduce hotspots and improve the selectivity and control of our reactor and manage the superactive catalyst. Velocity offers a flexible solution. We have smaller single core reactors suitable for 30 to 50 barrels per day of FT liquid production, and then we have a larger 4-core commercial reactor for capacities up to 200 barrels per day. This is then combined together in trains to scale up and to scale down to any of our customers' needs for their desired projects. Here we have our reactors being installed in the NVIDIA location. As you can see, they're very small, very compact, easy to transport and easy to install. This enables us to deliver our reactors in a distributed manner where the source of syngas is to provide FT liquids where it's needed. Velocity's FT licensing model is taking off. Recently, we've announced Our license being selected as preferred FT licenser for the Syzygy project in Uruguay, which is converting dairy-derived biogas into SAF via Syzygy's proprietary reforming technology. Additional to that, we're partnering with NextChem and their advanced gasification process for the waste to fuels project in Imminent, Alto in the UK. We're also continuing our relationship with Nido and Toyo to continue the advancement of SAF projects in Japan, and we have a strategic partnership with Sekisui, an advanced CO2 to CO technology to produce highly efficient power to liquids. Post-HEFA, FT is your highest TRL commercially proven pathway to SAF, and Velocys is at the forefront of this. We've demonstrated our unit across the world with thousands of hours of commercial demonstration, piloted and lab testing. Velocys is ready today to help India meet its SAF demand through second generation, through technology licensing, FT reactor supply and catalyst supply. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. That was a very innovative technology presentation and innovative technology emerging in the SAF field. Thank you, Chris, for sharing it with us. Next speaker for us today is Mr. Raju Chopra from Topshow. And I invite Mr. Raju to present his paper on most optimal pathways for production of SAF. Manish? Oh, Manish is. Okay, Manish, sorry. Manish and Raju together from Topshow. Okay, thanks, Manish. Sorry.
Am I audible? Great. Thanks a lot, and I would like first of all like to thank CHT, respected chair, co-chair, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am here to present Topshow's portfolio in SAF. Yeah, so this is the major agenda for today. I'll cover a bit on trends, regulations, pathways, then move on to various production routes, HEFA, followed by co-processing, Fischer Tropsch route, and alcohol to jet, some commercial references, and client testimonial. Just a bit about Topshow. Topshow is a 80-year-old company, and it's a world leader in energy transition. Every third molecule in renewable diesel and SAF operating in the globe is licensed by Topshow. Another significant aspect is 9% of the revenue is infused into R&D, which is what makes Topshow the world leader in energy transition space. This company is headquartered in Denmark and has offices all across the globe. We see that the trend of SAF has picked up from 2020 onwards. As on 24, we see a global operating capacity of 5 million tons. The traded volumes have also increased. Bulk of it is served by the Europe and US currently, but other countries are gaining momentum. As per IATA, in order to become net zero by 2050, the biggest contributor will be SAF. Of course, other contributors would be improvement in the existing aircraft engines, but SAF will pave the way, making the biggest contribution at 65%. So this is what makes SAF so special. Regulations and mandates are the driving force behind SAF deployment. Today, we see various countries have come up with various norms and regulations. Just for example, European Union, they have started already in 25 with 2% SAF and steadily growing up to 70% by 2050. An interesting thing to observe is e-jet will also be a part of SAF, and they have defined the percentages of e-jet also as it moves forward. USA has an aspiration to have 3 billion gallons of SAF by 2030 and 35 billion gallons of SAF by 2050. UK and Canada are also following suit. Uh, Again, we are capturing trends of some of the other countries, but I'll focus on India as also shown by the previous speakers. India is a signatory to CORSIA, 1% in 2027 and 2% in 2028 for international flights. So we can see that Indian refiners are really moving ahead and trying to implement SAF plants. The various pathways to SAF is highlighted over here. So mainly there are two pathways. D7566 is for standalone SAF, and towards the right you can see the blending limits for each. Topso is present in three of them, which is highlighted on the screen: FT SPK, HEFA SPK, and ATJ SPK. SPK, synthetic paraffinic kerosene, is a type of SAF. So there are various pathways, different names. Topso is there in FT, HEFA, and ATJ. Towards the bottom, we see co-processing also has been passed by ASTM under D1655, in which the maximum blending limit as on date is 5%, which is expected to steadily grow as we move ahead. This is a Topso's technology portfolio. On the top, you would see the various fuels. So we start with liquid fuels, virgin oils, waste oils like used cooking oil, animal fat. It needs to have some pre-treatment before it enters the hydroflex unit, and which is a hydroprocessing unit. And we get HEFA SPK out of it. As we move to the right, we can also use solid biomass, tires, and plastic waste. There are different pre-treatment methods like pyrolysis, hydrothermal liquefaction, gasification, from where we get syngas. Again, it goes to G2L plant where the gas is converted to liquid. We have a collaboration with Sasol for that, and Raju will be covering that in the next slides. Another interesting thing is e-fuels. Basically, E means using renewable electricity. So the water will be electrolyzed to get hydrogen, and along with captured CO2 will be converted into syngas and go into a G2L plant. So these are the few technologies that Topso has in its portfolio for SAF. I'll quickly cover a bit into the feedstock. So the feedstock, whether it is used cooking oil, animal fat, pea fat, palm stearin, they are all triglyceride molecules having a propane backbone, which will be removed during the reaction. There is a HDO or hydrodeoxygenation reaction. So the oxygen is removed in form of H2O or CO2. What we get is paraffin. It does not meet the freeze point, so we need to isomerize it. We have a dewaxing catalyst for it. The product we get is HVO or renewable diesel. Now for SAF, this needs to be cracked, so there is another step, endpoint reduction, and final product SAF is obtained. There are two pathways to get to SAF. In the HDO section, it is either HDO route or DCO route. In HDO route, water is produced from the oxygen molecule, while in DCO, it is CO2, which is produced. So if CO2 is produced, it will lead to loss of yield. So we prefer to go through the HDO route, and Topso has a selective HDO catalyst for that. Here you can see the hydrogen is used up in HDO seems more, but in DCO route, the CO2 produced will again go into a reverse water gas reaction and finally end up using 19 moles of hydrogen. So even hydrogen consumption wise, HDO is preferable. A bit into catalyst, Topso has an excellent phosphorus guard TK3000, phosphorus being the main contaminant in renewables. Topso also has a DVAX, robust DVAX catalyst and a highly selective HDO catalyst, which prefers the HDO route. If we go into the process, there can be two modes, SAR mode and sweet mode. The only difference being in sweet mode, the SAR gases will be removed prior to the feedstock going into the DVAX reactor. Of course, sweet mode can be a bit more on capex, but it gives higher yields, so NVA comes out to be better. The takeaway is with Topso technology, you have the full flexibility whether you want to go into 100% renewable diesel mode or 100% SAF mode or anything in between. Topso has the solution for you. A quick look into co-processing. So you want to use the existing fossil unit. We do have something known as co-processing. It's a ASTM certified method. 5 volume percent renewable feed can be used along with 95% fossil feed to get SAF. This is also certified under D1655, same as the ATF. What we try to do is do a catalyst reload in the existing reactor. So the top has HDO, HDS catalyst and the bottom has dewaxing catalyst. We are glad to inform that IOCL has shortlisted us for co-processing method in its Panipat unit. I'll now invite Raju on stage to cover GTL. Thank you.
Check. Hello, check. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Thank you very much. Good evening. And I'm going to talk about G2L technology. To start with, this is actually unique single point responsibility with Sasol. We together with Sasol can offer the complete solution. And this is nothing but it is actually we need a green hydrogen, we need CO2, and it goes to the E-react or reverse water gas shift, followed by the Fischer-Tropsch, where this low temperature Fischer-Tropsch reaction takes place, and then it is basically done in the slurry reactor that is a cobalt-based catalyst. And here we try to maximize the yield of the SAF in terms of FT-wax. Then this FT-wax goes to the hydrocracking, which is a conventional hydrocracking. And here we crack the molecule and makes SAF molecules, and we can get as high as 82% SAF by this process. Going forward, I just want to highlight here is that it's very, very important that we utilize a innovative technology module, integrate this solution. And in this particular slide, you can see that what are the undesired product, which is gas, naphtha, lighten. From the hydroprocessing unit, it can go back to the reverse water gas shift or what you call E-react, and then it can make more syngas. So which means that we are fully utilizing this process, increasing the process efficiency. And you can see this way we can increase the carbon efficiency by more than 95%, hydrogen efficiency that we can use more than 97% of the theoretical hydrogen. Product efficiency, this product is ASTM certified. Electricity efficiency is actually electricity uses is reduced by 15%. And you can see here the yield of SAF can be 100%. So I think that is a unique part. And further going forward, I wish to mention here that we have a SOEC solid oxide electrolysis cell. This is Topso's high temperature electrolyzer, which is much more efficient as compared to the alkaline and PEM electrolyzer. So which means that if we integrate this particular process or block into the process, then this block can further enhance the the efficiency of the system. And here on the right hand side bottom, you can see the further electricity consumption reduced by 33%. So I think it's again reducing the levelized cost of hydrogen. And I'm happy to announce that we are going to inaugurate this factory of SOEC by tomorrow, which is 500 megawatt capacity in Denmark. Coming to the ATJ route, and we are happy to announce that we are very close to kind of, we are in advanced stage of development. And the goal of this particular, the process is to maximize the SAF, which means that we are talking about more than 90% of the SAF from this process with minimum capex. And in this particular process, we have a dehydrogenation, oligomerization, followed by the hydrogenation process. And in this particular, we bank upon our selective oligomerization catalyst, proven hydrogenation catalyst, and we try to maximize the SAF yield and reducing the cost of production of SAF. That is a key goal. And you can again see on the right-hand side that we are again able to module e-react, we are able to integrate this and again making the hydrogen. So which means that you can utilize, recycle the undesired product and make the hydrogen and make this process much more efficient. We are quite enthusiastic about it, and our plan is that we are going to be, by end of this year, we are going to complete the process, and maybe we are going to talk to the client. We are already talking to the client globally for this particular process. A little bit about the e-react. I think this is a module. We call it novel technology because this is an electrified reformer. It replaces the conventional reformer, and it can take methane, CO, CS2, hydrogen, and then it can make the syngas. So which means that it can make the syngas and send to the Fischer-Tropsch. Similarly, for ethanol to jet, we'll be using light hydrocarbon, which will be feeding to the e-react, and this e-react will be sending the hydrogen to the process, making it more efficient. As far as commercial experience is concerned, this plant has been already running for more than 3 years now in Foulum, in Denmark, and this has been operated in biogas and making the syngas. So it is ready for kind of commercial operation. We have already sold a license to 3-4 clients worldwide, and we are very excited that this particular module is going to be a game changer technology in energy transition. Coming to the commercial reference, if you see the HEFA, as Manish explained, we have a very thorough experience, and we are proud to mention here that Topsoe is the licensor who has the highest running unit worldwide. We have 79 licenses for HEFA as on date. And we are proud to mention that we have won first 2 projects of HEFA SAF in India. And this, along with that, we have also got the order of first SAF catalyst order that is within NOCL, within National Oil Refinery, that is IOCL, which is going to be started in January 2026. Coming to the FT route, as I said, like we have a technology partner, Sasol, and who has decades of experience in Fischer-Tropsch technology. Topsoe and Sasol has worked for decades, and we have many plants you can see which are running. So this is again a commercial proven step, and we are ready for implementing our commercial. Now coming to the reference, if you see particular slide, we have many plants which are already awarded to Topsoe. I want to highlight 2 plants here. One is 2,000 barrels per day, Arcadia. This project was awarded in 2023, and now FEED is completed. It is under FID. And then second project is in Germany, that is German Space Center. This is 200 barrels per day, and this is going to be commissioned by 2027, where they will be making eSAF from CO2 and green hydrogen. Now maybe last few slides. In overall, of course, as a Topsoe, we can offer these technology as a single point responsibility because we have technology, license, high performance catalyst, equipment, and technical service. And if I see the overall, what are the things which are making the project viable? You need to have a technology which is well proven, licensor who can supply these technology as a single point responsibility. You need logistic, project financing, regulation, offtake agreement, of course, the feedstock. And I want to finish my talk with the very short video, which I am going to play.
Somebody in Topsoe saw a puzzle within our data and said, you better keep an eye on this. You might have trouble down the road. That's unparalleled.
So, what are the things which are making the project viable? You need to have a technology which is well proven, licensor who can supply these technology as a single point responsibility. You need logistic, project financing, regulation, offtake agreement, of course, the feedstock. And I want to finish my talk with the very short video, which I am going to play.
Somebody in Topsoe saw a puzzle within our data and said, you better keep an eye on this. That's unparalleled. My name's Bruce Fleming. I am the CEO of Montana Renewables. We are the largest SAF producer in the Western Hemisphere. I never get tired of saying that. But we're only producing 30 million gallons per year. We're going to increase that dramatically. We think we will be 300 million gallons per year of SAF about 2 years from now. That is 10% of the U.S. Grand SAF Challenge that the White House put out last year. This is a mic drop moment. You know, little Calumet in Great Falls, Montana, 10% in 2 years' time. The way that happened was we started off with a 24,000 barrel a day cat feed hydrotreater. But here's the kicker. We had no way to fill that. So in a very classical study where we said, what can we do with all of this idle capability? We ran into renewable fuel. We'll switch the feedstock to renewable feedstock and rearrange the rest of the refinery accordingly, and that's what we did. So start to finish was 18 months. Most people take 18 months to do the initial study before they actually do any of the work. That's simply signaling what's possible. We systematically and methodically removed every risk component that we could identify and point to. Chief among those was, does the technology work? And the best way to solve that is to select a technology provider with a proven track record, a history of operating units, if not directly relevant, at least immediately transferable. And Topsoe is head and shoulders above its competitors in that regard. The Topsoe HydroFlex catalyst offering was installed in our existing hydrocracker unit. That was a very easy conversion for us. The catalyst works exactly as advertised or better, and we've been very, very pleased with the performance.
Thank you very much. And I wish to say that we are also running many podcasts, and you are welcome to join. And this podcast, a lot of industry player experts are participating, and they share their experience and giving you new perspective. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raju and Manish. That was an enlightening presentation because SAF doesn't have one option, and he has given us so many options to produce SAF. So hopefully we can reach net zero by 2050. Thank you so much. So our next speaker is Mr. Soumitra Deshmukh from Sulzer Chemtech, USA, and he will be presenting paper on feedstock treatment enabling low-cost production of SAF via co-processing in refineries.
Thank you for the kind words, and welcome everyone for this short presentation on looking at a little bit of different approach, which is pre-treatment approach, and how we can make better SAF with a better pre-treatment approach. Legal disclaimers first. Everybody knows this. No need to talk more about it. Let's get right to the words. Right, but before that, I think most of us in the audience already know who Sulzer is and the Chemtech division within the Sulzer. They are best known for their mass transfer equipments, the trays, the packings that we have in the unit. Most of us are really familiar with all of these things, right? One more business division within the Chemtech is polymer and crystallization, and that's basically where we are looking at, biopolymers like PLA, PEF, PCl, and doing crystallization to improve what can be done with these technologies. A third division within the group, the Chemtech business unit, is the process solution unit, where we are looking at not only some energy efficiency improvement processes, but also looking at license processes where we're looking at SAF, HVO, and that's the range where we're going to talk a little bit about it today. And so with that, a lot has been said about sustainable aviation fuels in the last few minutes, the last few days, in fact, and of course, industry mandates, regulations, policies, everything else drives the SAF adoption. We have heard from the minister yesterday the target for 1%, 3%, 5%, and of course the net zero is very well known in that sense, right? So all of these things, they do exist. And despite 11 pathways being approved by ASTM and being recognized, as many speakers before me said it, not much SAF actually is available on the market today. the amount of SAF produced today is less than 1% of the total jet fuel demand. So these targets we have been talking about, 1%, 3%, 5%, actually need some magic to happen over the next few years. And of course, as my co-speakers earlier have presented, core processing is one of the fastest ways to get to that answer. It basically uses existing refinery assets, the existing infrastructure, and basically it helps us get to the right answer with minimal capex, minimal investments, shorter time span, and less delays. Feedstocks are again very well known: vegetable oils, seed oils, greases, fats, everything that you can take, you can co-process using your existing hydrotreater, and make fuel out of it. So this is the route that everybody knows. Every single refinery in the world does this. Take fossil feedstocks, get to the hydrotreater, make your jet, make your diesel, right? And then what does ASTM tell us about different processing? It say, okay, start with your fats, oils, and greases, do some pre-treatment, do some HEFA hydrotreating, and then what happens? You can actually blend your final jet product directly with the final jet. And that's the 50-50 blend that everybody knows about. The next approach you can take is, okay, well, so let's stop one step short of it, right? So what is the first step that is short of it? Is, okay, before we make your final jet, you can actually stop at the hydrotreating and then send it through your refinery fractionator already. And that is the route where we're looking at co-fractionation. And ASTM says, you know what, you can actually make 24% of the blend stock using this. Now, we can even stop one step even further shorter, right? We say, okay, just do the pre-treatment first and then take it through your existing infrastructure and get to the final product. And what is that? That's basically our co-feeding. And ASTM says, you know what, you can only do 5% with it. We want to do more and more and more, right? And these limits are set by ASTM committees, the technical representatives there. UK has already made some strides saying, okay, the DEF stand 9191 now allows up to 30%. So these limits may grow higher, but who knows? But how do we make the most of what's available to us? And that's where I think the approach that we are talking about is the co-processing approach and the novel treatment approach we want to do with it. The feedstock, everybody knows, they are the fats, oil, greases, they're very similar to each other. They basically are triglycerides. But the interesting part about this is that they have a varying amount of impurities. The different impurities that you have determine the quality of the feedstock, their quantity, their supply, at the end of the day, the pricing of those materials. And everybody knows that we want to buy the cheapest quality feedstock and make the most margin on it, right? So what is the right, how can I maximize my profits? Allowing and choosing a technology that lets you access the feedstock independent of its quality is something unproven, and I think is the most critical answer to solving this piece of the puzzle. So just to give you an idea of what are the impurities that we're talking about, right? These feedstock, of course, have metals, several thousand ppm, phosphorus, another one that has been talked about, chlorides has been talked about, and all of these, the hydrotreaters that we already have installed in our refineries, they have limitations. These are, of course, numbers that are, some generic numbers out there, but each case will be specific. But you get the idea that there are feedstock impurities. The higher the impurity, the lower the cost of the feedstocks, the higher the profit margin. So what we want to do is take the worst quality feedstock and make it into the best quality jet fuel through the existing refinery infrastructure without causing any challenges, without causing any heartburn to the operators and the refining units. So that's where the approach that we are talking about comes in. As of today, most of the conventional pre-treatment option is the physical refining process, doing some water washes, doing some degumming, separation. You somehow manage and coax out a little bit of the phosphorus, a little bit of the metals that is available in that feedstock, and then you can do the oxygen removal step that has been talked about, the isomerization, to get to the final product. But what we are seeing is there's another approach which the refiners are, the unit people running the refineries, the operators are much more familiar with, are the refinery unit, like a thermal cracking process, right? So where you can take these fats, oils, and greases, mildly crack them, get some separation done, get the right molecules that we're all already familiar with, and then make your jet and fuel. So let's look into this a little bit more. So So that's the concept that we're talking about. Basically, do a light thermal pretreatment of our feedstock that we have. Of course, you'll make some off gases, and then you follow that up with a mild severity hydrotreating. And what that does is it gives you a pre-processed feed that is very, very similar to the feed that is actually going already into your existing hydrotreater. And that is something that can unlock a lot of the answers to the questions that have been asked with the field of co-processing. So digging a little bit more into what happens into this, the pre-treatment. So somebody already mentioned, the triglycerides are the molecules that we have here. And analogous to refinery thermal cracking, we are going to use moderate temperatures to get to the right answers, reduce the molecular weight, break the chemical bonds. And what we are going to do is we are going to end up with a smaller subset of molecules. And of course, because it's a cracking process, you're going to have a mixture of paraffins, you're going to have some olefins, you're going to have some aromatics. And I think these are molecules that the refiners already know how to deal with. They don't know how to deal with fatty acids or triglycerides, but paraffins, olefins, aromatics, you give them to us, we know exactly how to deal with them, right? One of the biggest challenges is typically, the phosphate group, the phosphorus, and the oxygen associated with that phosphate group, and the metal that the phosphate group is bound to. And removing that is a very challenging problem for the conventional conventional pretreatment process. So and they rely on purely the hydrophilicity of this particular group to attract it and pull it out, cajole it out of the organic molecule into the aqueous phase, and that's how they remove it. Now, what we are doing with this thermal cracking process is we're giving it a little bit of energy boost to crack that molecule, crack that piece off, and make it easily go into the aqueous phase. And what does that do to us? Here's an example of a 10 kiloton per annum plant that was doing some thermal cracking the way we've described it. We have run the process for DCO, we have run the process for UCO, we have run the process for soy, and some of the impurities that we talked about, the metals content, few hundred ppm, phosphorus, few tens of ppm. The chlorides also in a similar range. And when we get to the product, what do we see? We are able to effectively remove the metals. We are able to effectively remove the phosphorus, so also the chlorides. Now, this is again just with the DCO, soy, and the UCO feeds. And not only that, we have tested feeds which are significantly worse than this. Few thousand ppms of metals, few thousand ppms of phosphorus, and even they can be processed to get to a point where you're looking at less than 10 ppm metals, less than 1 ppm phosphorus, and insignificant amount of chlorides. That's the beauty of the process that we're talking about. And of course, in the process, you're going to make some fatty acids, you're going to make some pionas that we talked about. And these are molecules, again, that are familiar to us. Now, as we go further, right, the next step that was described in the whole process, is, well, you know what, we need to worry about the oxygen that's in the feed. The beauty of the way we have designed the process with the thermal cracking part or the thermal pretreat part is that you can remove a majority of the oxygen. More than half the oxygen is already gone through that process. So now what is happening is you don't need as much hydrogen to remove the molecules that are remaining in that particular feedstock. So this is again a change, a paradigm shift in terms of, okay, how much extra hydrogen do I need to make this work? Right? And then of course we have some free fatty acids left. They will need to be removed. And these oxygen removing steps, they're quite exothermic. They can cause hotspot, they can cause catalyst, they can basically, and you also make water in the process, as was talked about. And that's when you need newer catalyst solutions, you need upgraded metallurgy for the reactors, and that can actually add to the cost burden for the project that we are looking at. So that's typically what a conventional hydrotreater revamp would look like, right? But then, because we have already gone through this place where we are saying, okay, what we have is we have already done a thermal cracking step, which I think is, in the absence of a pointer, it's basically that green circle out there with a tiny furnace showing you the thermal cracking step. So that's where the thermal cracking has already happened. So now what we do is basically we say, okay, let's do a mild, low severity hydrotreating step, just enough to remove the oxygen, just enough to get rid of all your fatty acids, so that the feedstock, so that the pre-treated material that is made is exactly the paraffins, the small amount of, actually the olefins will also get saturated. a lot of cyclics present, which are again not new to us as refiners in the world. So that feedstock is something that we already know our existing hydrotreaters are already very well familiar with, and it allows us to explore the whole potential of this scheme. And now, because you're already doing something which is a low severity hydroprocessing step, that 5% limit on that fats, oils, and greases actually goes up to 24. So you actually can process a lot more with the existing refinery itself, right? So that's kind of shifting the way we look. We need to look at the market. We need to look at the technologies and how do I best select my technology to get to the right answer. So a brief case study. Few seconds on this, essentially, more or less. Looking at, so if you had a refinery that produces about 20,000 barrels per day, a small, tiny refinery, targeting let's not even go to the 24% case. Right? Let's just start with the basic 5% per ASTM 1655. Something that we all have heard multiple times. And what happens? You do the conventional pretreatment, which is the degumming step. You have a certain make of your certain make of your jet fuel. You make some other feedstocks, and how much can you process through it? Now, without adding any extra capacity, without worrying about the hydrodynamics, without worrying about anything else, what the modified pretreatment approach, which is the thermal pretreatment treatment followed by the mild hydrocracking, what it allows us to do is it allows us to process a little bit more feed and make a lot more product using the same refinery, using the same setup that we already have. So these are, and again, I mean, whatever applies for the SAF case also works for the diesel case. That goes without saying, and that's something for us to just keep that in mind. So with that, just a couple of takeaways from the process is, the co-processing is a solution that refineries want to look at, so that we can actually get to that 1%, 3%, 5% numbers in a short range, allowing us to meet the goals that the governments expect out of us, that the world expects out of us. And of course, technology selection has a strong influence on the economics and the feasibility that we need to look at for the fuels complex. By that, what I mean, can I get to a cheaper feedstock? Can I maximize my profits while still doing what is right for the world? I think that's the answer that we are looking for. And what I hopefully presented to you is that this thermal pretreatment followed by a low severity hydrotreating step actually is an effective enabler to get us to a place where we can start to rapidly adopt the co-processing in our existing hydrotreaters, get to the initial targets first, and then get on to the more complex challenges of how do we get to final net zero answers. So with that, thank you so much for your time and attention, and we'll look forward to your questions or discussions later on once the session is done. Thank you again.
Thank you, Soumitra. That was a very novel presentation on a very critical step in SAF processing, which decides so many things for the technology going forward. Thank you so much. So now I invite Dr. Palak Dugar from Visolis to introduce us with a new molecule unheard of in biorefining.
Thank you for the introduction, and to CHT for the opportunity to participate in the 20th Energy Technology Meet. In today's presentation, I'll talk about Visolis's AeroSAF, which is aromatic sustainable aviation fuel produced via the mevalonate pathway. Am I audible? Visolis is an innovation-driven biotech company based in the Bay Area with a presence in Netherlands and India. It was started in 2012 when there were a handful of companies working on SAF. Since then, SAF has grown dramatically with a projected total market value of approximately $2 billion in 2025 and an expectation to reach $550 billion in 2050. So global government mandates will play a key driving role to reach this 2050 market size projection, similar to how in the 1990s, Incentives drove technological innovation for drastically reducing costs, making solar and wind energy commercially viable. Legislative action for SAF is increasing globally, with EU and US leading strong initiatives to create policy technology maps and foster investments. The SAF industry is poised for rapid cost reduction through policy support, production scale-up, and technological advancements. With the global aviation industry consuming over 100 billion gallons of fuel annually, the SAF market presents a massive opportunity. So where does India come into play in this global picture? Over the past 2 days, we've heard a lot of speakers highlight that India sits in a unique and promising position, a true sweet spot, with our strong agricultural base and a well-established ethanol ecosystem. India already has two of its most critical building blocks for SAF. When you combine these strengths with well-designed mandates, India has the potential to become a net exporter of SAF by 2035. These mandates alone are expected to create a domestic supply of $9 billion by 2040, while global demand could reach an astonishing $370 billion. With the capacity to produce 10 to 30 million tons of SAF from domestic resources, India truly has what it takes: the feedstock, the talent, and with Visolis, the technology to position itself as a global leader in SAF. So Visolis's MEV platform, which is short for mevalonolactone, enables dozens of high-performance applications. MEV is made via fermentation using an ethanol yeast, which is programmed to hyperproduce MEV. This is followed by a thermochemical catalytic upgrading of MEV to produce advanced biofuels and chemicals. This pathway is feedstock agnostic and is capable of utilizing feedstocks such as molasses, damaged food grains, as well as 2G feedstocks such as municipal solid waste, agricultural residue, and 3G feedstocks like waste gases. This technology has been specifically demonstrated for the raw materials shown on the screen at a pilot scale. Visolis's patented technology and production pathway for MEV is the precursor to making high purity energy dense fuels and chemicals, offers capex savings as well, since the existing standard equipment from the ethanol industry can be used for brewing. Additionally, MEV is a flexible intermediate, as one can switch from different products just by adjusting the process conditions, giving us both versatility and scalability. So MEV is a liquid with 40% higher density than crude oil, and just like crude oil, it can be shipped globally and can be used to make high volume products. But unlike crude oil, MEV is non-toxic, bio-based, and biodegradable. Out of the dozen end products today, I will focus on SAF, which has the largest immediate opportunity. So SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, or sorry, SAF is aviation fuel, not SAF. It, also called Jet A, is composed of three main types of molecules: linear, cyclic, and aromatics. All of the SAF produced today and sold in the market consists of only linear molecules. In order to meet ASTM specifications and be compatible with existing infrastructure and airplanes, such SAF has to be blended with Petrojet A and is limited to a 50% maximum blending according to the ASTM requirements. Visolis's technology exclusively makes the other molecules, the aromatics and the cyclics, which together we call as AeroSAF. This AeroSAF has many key advantages in terms of improved properties, as well as it's expected to be more cleaner burning due to the absence of polycycloaromatics. This AeroSAF can be blended with other linear SAF to create 100% drop-in replacement for Jet A. So talking about the properties, AeroSAF is better on multiple fronts. It has 12% more dense. It is 12% more dense than HEFA-SAF and Jet A2. It has better cold flow properties due to a lower freeze point. At the same time, it also has a higher flash point, making it safer to handle. Such premium properties can be harnessed via synergistic blending with other SAF and as well as Jet A. So AeroSAF basically forms a very critical component of 100% SAF. While the majority is working to make linear molecules for SAF, Vesolis is exclusively producing AeroSAF. With this premium offering, we're already working with marquee customers like the US Department of Defense. And as we scale production, the world moves towards 100% SAF beyond 2050, we need at least 50 million tons of AeroSAF, which will be needed to blend alongside 100 million tons of linear SAF. In total, AeroSAF represents a third of the jet fuel demand globally, which is about 150 million tons. So an assessment of the 100% SAF, which is comprised of 80% HEFA and 20% of the AeroSAF, is shown here. And this 100% SAF is fully compliant with a subset of ASTM properties. The distillation curve on the right, you can see that the 100% SAF mimics the Jet A fuels, which were selected here. Please keep in mind that Jet A also has a very wide range and band of distillation characteristics. We expect this 100% SAF to be fully compliant with the the other properties. Lastly, I would like to touch upon the overall impact potential of Vesolis' platform from the perspective of greenhouse gas emissions. With 1G feedstock like grains, our product produces over 70% reduction in greenhouse emissions relative to Petrojet A. With 2G inputs like agri-residues, there's an opportunity to go carbon negative on a life cycle basis due to two main factors. The first, the feedstock-related emissions are minimal, and the feedstock represents renewable carbon that is fixed in the plant matter. The second is that the rubber copolymer that's produced alongside the fuel inside our facility continues to hold on to the renewable carbon. That is, it sequesters the carbon even at end of life since it's not burnt. And this offsets all processing-related emissions at an 85 to 15 fuel polymer mix. And at a 50 to 50 fuel polymer mix, the entire operation is net carbon negative. So in summary, Vesolis AeroSAF is a high-performance fuel essential to a lower emissions future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Palak, for introducing a new molecule. And I hope this will remove the blending requirements for the SAF. Thank you so much. So now I invite our last speaker, Mr. Vashane, to present his paper.
So I would like to use a little bit of stage space. So thank you. So first of all, I would like to thank the fellow speakers for talking about all the advanced pathways to produce SAF. I am going to make your life easy. I am going to talk about something simple and basic. But before I talk about anything, I want to ask one simple question. Please respond me by raising your hand. How many of you love our planet Earth? Okay. The follow-up question, if I ask you to sacrifice something to save planet Earth, how many of you will do? So within 20 minutes, we'll check how many of you will keep your promise. Next question, please hear carefully. How many of you love samosa and chola bhaturas? Please raise your hand. Yesterday, I saw a long queue in front of the samosa parlor, right? During the gala dinner. So please be honest, raise your hand. How many of you love samosas and chola bhaturas? Thank you. We'll come back on this. So about company, Lamas Technology is a technology licensor, and we provide technology for gas processing, refining, petrochemical and polymer, and biofuel technologies. Additionally, we are the supplier of catalyst and proprietary equipments. We also provide digital solutions to all our technologies. When it comes to global footprint, we have a legacy of more than 100 years. We have currently 12 worldwide offices, 4 operating advanced facilities, more than 4,100 patents. When it comes to a technology portfolio, we have a massive portfolio of more than 160 technologies. Next point is very, very critical to understand. When it comes to ethylene, we are number one in the world. It means more than 50% of the ethylene is being produced using our technology. And why it is important? Because in one of the pathways to produce SAF, ethylene is a critical intermediate step. We'll talk about it. So before we talk about a solution, first let's talk about a problem. So on the left side of the slide, you can see the trend. On the right side, you can see the impact. So the very first trend is more and more people are using flights. It means more consumption of the fuel, more carbon emission. Impact, urgent need for decarbonization. Second is global net zero commitments. It means a massive market for SAF. Third thing is that when it comes to passengers vehicle, you have CNG, you have electric fleet. But unfortunately, when it comes to plane, hydrogen powered vehicle, a hydrogen powered plane or electric fleet are not ready. And it will take decades to be ready. So what is the option? So as per the IATA report, the best option is to go with something which is sustainable. The next point is very, very critical. Looking at the current geopolitical situation, we have to be self-reliant. And our Prime Minister fondly says that we have to be Atmanirbhar in everything. And when it comes to energy security, it becomes even more critical. So it means we need to reduce the crude import. So we have talked about the problem, and now let's talk about the solution. There's a strange thing about SAF. This is the only fuel for which so many pathways have been approved. Currently, there are 11 pathways approved for producing SAF, and almost similar number of pathways are under approval. You know why? Because no single pathway can produce enough SAF which can meet the global demand. Each pathway has its own challenges. So for the ease of understanding, I have condensed 11 pathways into 4 categories. The first category is HEFA. HEFA stands for hydroprocessed ester and fatty acids, where the feedstock is used cooking oil, animal fat, and waste oil. When it comes to technology readiness level, worldwide, all SAF is being produced using HEFA. In terms of economics, the cost of production is low. It doesn't mean the cost of production is lower than the conventional jet fuel. It means the cost of production is lower than other routes. The biggest challenge is feed availability. It means the feed for HEFA competes for other fuel like renewable diesel or some oleochemicals. Well, again, it's a time for next question. If I ask you to sacrifice your samosas and chola bhaturas, how many of you would like to do that? I can see very few people are raising their hands. Guys, I'm sorry to say that we do not have sufficient UCO, used cooking oil, because most of the UCO in India either ends up in samosa or chola bhaturas. And please don't ask me the data source, because this is something which I am telling from my own experience of having a sweet shop, and I know how the economics of samosa and used cookie or chola bhaturas work. Thanks. Since I'm sorry to say that, since you guys are not planning to sacrifice your samosas and chola bhaturas, so we have to move to the next pathway, which is ethanol to jet. So when it comes to ethanol, I should say that it is a alcohol to jet. So there are two alcohol. One is ethanol, another one is isobutanol. Here I will talk about ethanol. So for ethanol production, the main feedstocks are sugarcane, molasses, waste grain, energy crops, or agriculture residues. After HEFA, this is the only pathways where all steps are commercialized. I'll not talk about TRL number 4, 5, 6. All steps are commercialized. Already, all the steps, all the units are already in operation. When it comes to economics, the cost of production is higher than HEPA, but still comparatively lower than FT and PTL. The biggest challenge is variety of feed. It means variety of feed to produce ethanol. And when that ethanol processes in ethanol to ethylene process, which is the first step, then so many complexities come that we'll talk about in forthcoming slides. And the second critical step is ethanol dehydration process. So worldwide, there's only 1 or 2 plants which are in the operation at a commercial scale. I'm not talking about a small scale or pilot scale or demo scale plant. I'm talking about a commercial scale. So there are only very few plants. So that is one of the biggest challenge. Now you must be thinking that I'm going to ask another question. If I ask you how many of you would like to sacrifice your ethanol? Yesterday I saw the response of the people and the happiness on the face of everyone during the gala dinner. And nobody would like to fly a plane with a sad faces where people are sad. So thanks to our government and our farmers that we have sufficient amount of ethanol available, which can drive our car, which can drive our plane, and which can also drive us. So now let's talk about the next route, which is FT Fisher Troughs. Our fellow speakers have already talked about it, but I'll take one step back. And you must have seen there were many processes, different steps are involved. I'm going to talk about one more step, which comes before FT. So that step is gasification. Though FT process is pretty old. The FT stands for Fisher Tropsch, primarily used to produce liquid fuels using coal gasification. But here, coal cannot be used. So we have to use the biomass. And the biggest boon for this process or the pathway is the variety of feed. But unfortunately, the biggest boon becomes the biggest curse for first step of this process, which is gasification. And so far, there is no commercial scale gasifiers available. Second thing, gasification, especially the biomass gasification technology is very, very feed specific. The moment you try to change the feed, lot of complexities involved. So after the gasification, you get syngas. And for the syngas, one thing is critically important, which is hydrogen to CO ratio. And once you get the syngas, it goes to the FT reactor. So with the variety of feedstock, it is very, very difficult to control the ratio of hydrogen to CO. And then when it goes to the Fisher Tropsch to get the Fisher Tropsch liquid, and then you need a hydrocracking catalyst, then you need an isomerization catalyst, hydroprocessing, fractionation. So these are the different steps involved. When it comes to technology readiness level, the whole process is not commercialized, especially because of the gasification part. Cost of production is high and highly capital intensive unit. The biggest challenge is feed aggregation, as I said. If we talk about any of the world scale unit, it would be very, very difficult to find a single kind of feed available at a single place. And another challenge, as I already said, the complex gasification process. Next is PTL. So PTL stands for power to liquid. Well, this is the perfect route to produce SAF. But unfortunately, something which is perfect may not be practical, at least today. So for this PTL, you need green hydrogen and carbon dioxide. Thanks to our National Green Hydrogen Mission, that we are doing really well, but everybody sitting in this forum already knows that still the cost of hydrogen is, green hydrogen is very, very high. Second thing is carbon capture. Though this technology is also very, very old, but for this, but still not very optimized. And still it is evolving. And especially for PTL route, the carbon that can be captured through direct air capture method, for which the cost of production or cost of capturing the CO2 the cost of capturing the CO2 is as high as $500 to $600 per metric ton. The second route is biogenic CO2 capture, but there are issues related to the economies of scale. So once you have the carbon dioxide, once you have the green hydrogen, then the next magical step of reverse water gas shift reaction. Though this technology is also very, very old, but it has always remained either in lab or literature. And there's a reason for that. Because with reverse water gas shift reactor, you get syngas, and there are alternate methods available like reforming or gasification through which you can get the syngas. And this reaction is highly endothermic, so it means you need high temperature. At the same time, it's a catalytic process, so you need to increase the temperature as high as 700 to 800 degrees centigrade. So you need a robust catalyst which can sustain such a high temperature. At the same time, such a good metallurgy which can withstand such a high temperature. After the syngas, you need FT, the same pathway that we talked about. It means Fischer-Tropsch, hydrocracker, catalyst, isomerization catalyst, and then fractionation. So the biggest challenge is carbon capture process and the complex reverse water gas shift reactor. So I have talked about all those pathways, and another question that could be coming into your mind, what is best for India? I know you will not easily convince. So here are 4 categories through which you can judge on your own which is the best pathway for India to produce SAF. The first thing is strategic advantage. It means the feedstock. We have already concluded that we don't have a sufficient feedstock available for the UCO. Then next is what? We have existing ethanol infrastructure. And economics teaches us if we have something already available, we should try to utilize it. The third is the self-reliance. And as I already explained, and our Prime Minister keeps on saying about being self-reliant. So if you have the feedstock available in the country, then that is going to best for any of the pathway. When it comes to technology, as I said, all steps are commercialized, and it can be easily bolt on with ethanol plant. Additionally, it also produces byproducts like renewable diesel, and the unit can be designed in a flexible manner so that if you want to produce max SAF, you can produce or operate the unit in the max SAF mode or maybe in the max diesel mode. When it comes to economic and export potential, currently we produce metric ton of jet fuel, and out of 18 million metric ton, we export almost more than 50%. It means more than 9 to 10 million metric ton we export currently. So similar thing we can do here with SAF. When it comes to social policy impact, huge investment would be needed to create a SAF ecosystem. It means job creation, boost in the farmer income. Now you must be thinking, after talking about so many pathways, what Lummus is going to offer. So Lummus, with our partner Chevron, we have a joint venture called Chevron Lummus Global. So with Chevron Lummus Global, we have a technology called Isoterra, which is based on HEFA. So with HEFA route, we can process any kind of HEFA feedstocks to produce renewable diesel or SAF. When it comes to ethanol to jet, I talked about a critical challenge for ethanol to jet, which was ethanol dehydration process. And I'm glad to inform you that Lummus is the only licensor with a commercial scale ethanol to ethylene unit, which is in the operation in Brazil for more than 10 years. The capacity of the unit is 260 KTA ethylene production. Such a big unit. And I would candidly admit a fact that that unit has gone through its own learning curve, or it has gone through its own rough patches. The faults which we could not envisage during the design phase came up when the plant was in operation. Since the plant is in operation for last 10 years, all those things have been fixed to ensure that the plant can complete its on steam factor. Next is dimerization and oligomerization. So after ethylene, ethylene is dimerized to butene, and it is oligomerized to oligomer product. So here there is an important step, there is an important point to understand. The oligomer produced from this process is highly isoolefinic. It means you do not need hydrocracking catalyst, you do not need isomerization catalyst. directly you can hydroprocess it, and the quantity of hydrogen needed is very, very minimum. So overall, when it comes to integrated unit, it is highly optimized for low capex, low opex, and low CO2 emission. Well, when it comes to ethanol, literally sky is the limit. You can set up a whole biorefinery around ethanol, or biorefinery come petrochemical or polymer complex. So when it comes to refineries are mainly built for three fuels, which is the one is gasoline, another one is diesel, and third one is the jet fuel. And we have already seen that ethanol is being used as a blending component. The second thing is that with the jet process, you are getting jet fuel and renewable diesel. And additionally, you can also produce alkylate. When it comes to petrochemical complex, since as a process of ethanol to jet, ethanol to ethylene, you are already getting, and with a technology called OCT, you can get propylene. So once you have the bioethylene and biopropylene, you can produce all the polymers, whether it is biopolymers, whether it is polypropylene or propylene-based any other polymer, and everything will be called a bio-based polymer or bio-based petrochemical. Well, this is the second last slide. The next question that could be coming to your mind, how to make the project bankable. So I'll just talk about the very first point. Remaining points already fellow speakers have talked about. The proven technology pathway. It is very, very important before you decide to go with any of the technology partner, you understand that all the steps are commercialized. And when it comes to ethanol to jet, I'm giving you one example. All alcohols are not same. So being one of the leading licensor for methanol to olefins or ethanol to ethylene, I would like to highlight a point. The chemistry and the process for methanol to olefin is entirely different from ethanol to ethylene. So for each step, we have to be very, very careful. And as a producer or as a producer of SAF, your expectation should be to ask the licensor to facilitate a visit to the reference unit so that you can see how the unit is in operation. So that is the critical point that should be kept in the mind while you are deciding your technology partner. And other things we have already, other fellow speakers have already talked about. So this is the last slide, summary and the path forward. HEFA is definitely a short-term solution. And due to high capex and technology readiness level challenges, Fischer-Tropsch and PTL routes, definitely these technologies can be an option for the future, probably beyond 2045 or beyond. Ethanol to jet is India's fast track to sustainable aviation. And Lummus is here to offer isoterra, it means HEFA-based, or ethanol to jet technology. And the last but not the least, as our CEO famously, oftenly says that never leave the customers. Trust me, as a licensor, we will not be associated with you with up to the basic engineering package, but we will be associated with you up to the commissioning and beyond. With this, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your patience listening. I'm available for any of the question answers, and also we have a booth here, and we will be available for tomorrow. You can come to the booth and ask about these technologies or maybe other 158 technologies. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So thank you very much for very nice presentation. And you also talked about samosas and chola bhaturas, which must have brought water into the mouth. So many who like it. Thank you very much. So we have almost, overshot the time by about 7-8 minutes, but still we'll take 2 or 3 questions if some people have some pressing. Please raise your hand, direct the question to someone who is, please let us know whom you are asking the question.
Myself, R.M. Thakur, working with CST. I have few questions with Suljan, Mr. Desmukh.
Okay.
Actually, you have given a right solution for co-processing of biofeed. Actually, during this thermal processing, you can reduce the metals, no problem. It's good that you have suggested this solution. How do you take care of formation of coke during this thermal process? And how do you take care of formation of olefins? Because formation of olefins will consume more hydrogen in the next step. So how do you take care? Can you explain? I will like to know.
It's on. You
No,
can.
now it's on. Okay, I think those are really valid points that you make, right? I mean, so you are going to use some oxygen, you are going to use some hydrogen to saturate the olefins that you make. You are going to have some olefins that you made, but these are again molecules that you really know in the refinery. You're not dealing with oxygen that is removed inside a hydrotreating reactor where you have to worry about the exothermicity, where you have to worry about the corrosion due to the acid formation, things like that, right? So it's a lesser known evil in that sense, honestly, to say with you. In terms of the formation of the coke, I think that's something that is very manageable. You know, you design the right conditions, you operate. I mean, you design it right based on the right flow regimes, things like that. You know, this is not the forum to share the details on it. But of course, you and I can have a chat right after, and we can make sure that the people who are running the units downstream are very comfortable with what we offer. That's what I think you're getting out to, right?
Okay, we'll have one-to-one meeting. Thank you.
Absolutely.
There is a question from. Please pass on the mic here. Yeah.
Good evening. Myself, R.K. Jha. I'm former Executive Director and Refinery Head with IOCL Barauni Refinery. Presently, I'm working as the Senior Vice President, Green Initiative with Himadri Specialty Chemicals Limited. It's a very generic question. My generic question to all the panelists. You have given so many methods, HIFA, FT, and power to, SAF. As a panelist, all of you, can you suggest that which methods would be adopted? Because as a Himadri, we are very keen in moving forward to implement the SAP production. So kindly suggest.
I don't know who can take it, but I think you want to take it?
Yeah, I can take it. Please.
I think Loomis had given all the four type of, summarized the very well, and then had talked about.
Hello.
Anyway, he's.
Yeah, I think I know you are not a refinery, so maybe I cannot recommend you for go for co-processing, but I think we have also, I think a lot of my colleague also mentioned about the HEFA is the cheapest route, but the challenge with HEFA is the feedstock availability. And I'm sure like maybe there'll be a feed diversification. A lot of new policies are coming where these UCO will be, preserved and maybe we'll not be using it multiple times. So maybe HEFA is the co-processing is the cheapest, followed by HEFA, 100%, that is a grassroots unit, the new unit. Then we see, we could see if we compare, feedstock is important. So maybe we could see if it is ethanol is available, maybe ethanol to jet could be, and then followed by the Fischer-Tropsch. But there could be, if you have a CO2 availability, then we could also see methanol to jet is a very attractive, and maybe we can say FT route is also quite competitive. But if I say you have to put a gasification process, then it is very, very
I
cumbersome.
think he's smiling. It looks like he will get further confused. I think anyone else would also like, but I think it depends on what kind of feedstock you have, what kind of existing infrastructure you have. Whether you have ethanol available, then you can take that ethanol to jet route. If you have expertise in biomass gasification, maybe you can pick up that route. So there are multiple options, So I think there is no single answer to any particular question. Any other question?
Maybe a quick side comment on this, right? How many million rupees do you have to invest? I think because they all said each one has a different price tag to it.
That's what I was wondering. That investment has not been talked about by, and the cost of the final product by various technologies has not been talked about by any of the presenters. So it's an upcoming technology, as was said, that is only 1% of SAP which is available at this point of time. So I think it's a difficult question. So any other question?
Yeah, one last question. Yes, sir.
I'm Vinay Amte from Reliance Industries. My question is to Velocis speaker. You mentioned that in power to liquid, about 90%, 90+% activity towards a liquid hydrocarbon. So out of this, how much is the distribution of naphtha, diesel, SAF, and wax?
I think it must be on. Yeah.
So the distribution from the FT liquids, typically you're looking between 75 and 80% to SAF, and then 15 to 17% naphtha, and then the rest made up of LPGs. With the option of recycling the naphtha and the LPGs to further reform to increase the yield of SAF from a given feed.
Okay, but as you mentioned that you are having the reactor with a multi-channel, and moreover you are targeting the conversion of more than 70%. So how you are maintaining the exothermicity of this reaction?
So the 70% is the per pass conversion, but the overall conversion with recycling we recycle tails gas back round to the start of our process, so you can achieve upwards of 96% total CO conversion, which leads to around about 90% conversion of CO to liquid hydrocarbons.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you. I think with this, I'd just like to mention that we have learned a lot. In fact, I have also learned during all these presentations. This is a upcoming field. SAF is going to contribute about 65% reduction of CO2 by 2050. That's a good news. But the issue of cost, the cost is, I was looking today in the morning that what are the kind of prices, nobody talked about that, is about globally, this is about 2,000 to 5,000 per ton, is the cost of SAF vis-a-vis the normal aviation fuel, which is available at about $700 to $900 per ton. So there is a large difference. So we have to, fine tune the technologies. We learned that 11 pathways are available, 49 recognized feedstocks are there. Multiple technologies have been talked about, but there are challenges. And if you look at the challenges, first I believe is the cost reduction. Whichever technology we